today's episode of the Weebinar, Zach and William explore another often overlooked and severely underappreciated entry from the Gundam verse. That's right, boys. Today, you will see the best review of government incompetence and overspending. Today, the Weebinar reviews MS IGLOO. Alright, welcome back. As you can already tell from the thumbnail and reading, the actual description on the video and potentially other things, we are reviewing MS IGLOO. And this is going to be an interesting journey here for us today, sir. We're going to go through all sorts of things. First of all, I wanted to thank everybody who is watching right now. If you are one of the subscribers that helped us get to 500, big time thank you. You want to... How do you feel about the
heartburn?
Subscribers? Heartburn? Fair enough. Anyway.
Yes, it's a glorious moment.
It really is.
And I'm really just basking in it right now. Because it's great to be here.
And remember that, any support you guys give us is definitely going to be given back to you. We are fair human beings, and anything you give to us, we're definitely going to return the favor in some way, shape, or form. So with that said, let me get on into this this review that we promised you all about 4 months ago. And that's another thing. Also, I want to say, if you help us get to 1,000 or even further beyond that, the more support you guys give us, the more you can free us up from our other jobs to actually do this. So, moving on, I'm going to get into and actually explain the plot a little bit of MS IGLOO after I read what is on the back of the Blu Ray case, which you guys should go buy. It's definitely a great copy even if the visuals aren't really something that ever should have seen, high definition anyway. But we'll get into that later. So, Universal Century 0079. With the outbreak of the One-Year War, the Principality of Zeon seeks new weapons and new technology to counter the numerical advantage of the powerful Earth Federation. For this purpose, Zeon assembles some of its finest engineers and officers to form the 603rd Technical Evaluation Unit, stationing them aboard the converted civilian vessel Jotunheim. Their mission is to test new prototype weapons from long-range artillery to tanks to mobile pods. The crew of the Jotunheim evaluate these experimental weapons with care as they are drawn ever closer to the battlefront. But when the Federation begins its counteroffensive, surpassing Zeon's mobile suits with its development of the Gundam and mass-produced GIM, even more devastating new weapons are needed. Bear witness to a side of the One-Year War that until now has been shrouded in secrecy. And that's exactly what it says on the back here. So they went hard as with that description right there. They're not playing games.
Yeah, they need to sell this thing.
Exactly. And on top of that, that's going to be a theme for this review, is that we're not playing any games today. We're laying it out. So, like before with MS IGLOO, right, we laid out the whole plot of it and sort of talked through it in the red letter media style. I wish we could do that with this, but this is like a 4.5-hour set of 3 different OVAs, so they're all 9 episodes, and they're all like sometimes even over 30 minutes long, if I'm not mistaken, right? So maybe they're all under 30, and I just cut the opening and the end.
Yeah, they're regular, I think.
Fair enough. Still, it's like 9 episodes, like 4 hours and a half or so.
Yeah.
So we can't, in all good conscience, sit here and just do that, because it'll take, maybe 8 hours to just do that. You know what I mean? Alone. So I'm gonna just sort of break it down to the actual plot points and most of the things that matter. And if you don't want to be spoiled, you came to the wrong review, boss. Go ahead and find something else, because we're about to break it all down here for you. So, episode number 1, right? We're not even going to deal with the titles of the episodes. You guys are going to have to go find that out for yourself. So, number 1, End of an Era, right? And it's the mobile suits taking the lead from big guns, okay? Alexandro Heme, the chief gunnery officer of the Jotunheim, right, is brought aboard and to test what the Yoram ground, right, which is a gigantic cannon that can literally, if it hits anything, and in fact I can actually show it right here. As you can see there, it definitely destroyed that ship from the inside out. As soon as it hit it, it completely exploded it, but the shell was still there and it warped it. So as you can see, it's probably not a good thing to get hit from that. And I will say, not much else happens other than they really set up. This is really just all set up, honestly, because he's already aboard, right? But the beginning sets up very well with an actual, just straight up timeline of the UC, right? The UC timeline. So you at least get that backstory, right? they at least try to interest you in like how the timeline has gone along. But goddamn, we're condensing so much into like a 15-second crawl right there. So I think they sort of leave that out. But mostly we set up the main character, Oliver Mai, who is this fresh out of the academy guy who literally the first time his commanding officer gives him an order, he's like, hey, I'm sorry you have to deal with this being fresh out of the academy, but here you go, have fun. And then just sort of like runs away from him, and then Oliver goes out and realizes that this thing is actually not really worth it. And it actually sucks because I think that particularly the Ormgarand definitely has potential, but the fact that Char and the boys came in right after that and decided to literally mop up the entire fleet of actual battleships by themselves in mobile suits. The people that wore these uniforms were like, oh, those are really good. We need to make more of those. That big gun. We don't need that anymore. Get that big waste of time out of here. So it's not even that the Ormgarand was like, inferior or not something that works well. It was just the end of an era. This is the mobile suits taking over the battlefield. And get used to that. Get used to that end of an era thing, because it's going to continue to pop up over and over again. So, and one last thing I want to say about Alexandro Hemme. We'll get into all the other characters later. But Alexandro Hemme had one of the absolute most man deaths you could ever have. That motherfucker could not move anything and held on for dear life and crawled his way back to the cannon and was like, all right, tell me where to shoot. And they're like, come back, you dumbass, what are you doing? He's like, I can't feel a thing, tell me where to shoot, basically. And he's set up as a character like that basically from the start. Like as soon as he gets on the ship, he's like, "What are we shooting, boys?" You know what I mean? Like anybody got a gun? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like that, right? So that's good. That's consistent character development, more or less, right there. It makes sense that guy would kill himself to fire some special crazy ass experimental gun like that, right? Especially for the glory of Xeon, especially, right? So he goes out in an absolute man's way. I wanted to get used to that too, by the way, because that's another thing. So moving on to episode 2 of the first actual movie. Oh, one thing I forgot is that, some casual thing to forget, by the way. Operation British actually takes place on screen, which Operation British is the colony drop. It's the trope namer on TV tropes. We get to see that straight the up in front of our face, right in front of our face. They actually almost run into the path of the colony, and they get that warning. They're like, hey, clear the operation area immediately, you stupid what are you doing right here? Don't you see we got this giant colony and we're about to drop it on Earth? You know what I mean? So they even need the warning, right? It's kind of funny. And then also, I referenced it earlier, but the battle where Char Aznavour sinks 6 tankers or sinks 6 ships, it comes up so much in the movies and in the original series. You might not remember it, but it comes up all the time. That's the Battle of Loum, and that's a very important time in history, because that's when mobile suits said, nice big gun there, pussy, but we can get there and blow a lot of shit up really quick. And the army, and like I said, they were like, oh yeah, at that point, because big guns, if you think about it now, like howitzers and big cannons and shit, raining artillery. Think about it in the history of war, that and the tanks really right now are the big deal in our world, other than the cyber warfare. But the tanks have what strapped to them? What's on the top of a tank?
Coke cages.
Yeah, and also what's attached to that? A gigantic fucking gun. And that's the point. Is it's just a big mobile armored fucking gigantic mounted gun, and that's what that is. It's what the Ormgarand really represents, is artillery. As a theme, right? As a tool of war, and the mobile suit outclasses it immediately. And Char is already 3 times faster because it's red and because it's him. It's literally a thing in the universe. And even in the games, you get like a 3 times speed bonus just for being him. You really do. It's real. They go that hard. So 2 very important moments in Gundam history. Moving on. Episode 2, the failed MS pilot, who is once a great tank operator, refuses to change, is sent to Earth with a rejected prototype that the military doesn't really want back at all. They even straight up state that you can just leave it there. There's no need to collect the Hildolfer, like at all. They don't even care about it at all, or him apparently, because they're just like, whatever, leave it there. We don't care. Do what you want with it. So they really don't give a shit, right? Common theme coming back. So, moving on, the redhead handles everything poorly with the guy named who is Demetier Sonnen. I know I'm like completely butchering that, but this is Gundam. The names are weird. That's another thing you should get used to with the entire series. So anyway, he dies a man's death too, but he is the guy who actually pilots which is one of the coolest goddamn things I've ever seen in any mecha anime, like the Hilldolfer. Interesting, I think it's amazing, and we are definitely going to spend a good amount of time with the mobile suits. But for the sake of expediency, I'm going to carry on here. But he dies a man's death, and tank warfare dies with him. That's another tool that is outclassed by the mobile suits. It's beaten in that battle by Zeon's own mobile suits, but by a very ragtag team of awesome dudes, by the way. The guy that runs that unit of guerrillas to steal Zaku 2's anyway, but to continue to fool Zaku 2 after Zaku 2 when they keep going, like, hey man, what's up? And he's like, hey man, you got any 120 millimeter rounds for us? And he's like, yeah. Man, you know a lot. And he's like, yeah, here comes the transport. It's over there northwest. And he's like, where is it? Where? And the guy's just like, you guys are stupid. Bang. And he shoots him like right there on the site. And they just walk up, and it's like Ricky with the cops. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, yeah, hey, just go in there and talk to the administration's officer. Meanwhile, they killed everybody there like months ago. And they've been living there. It's some war crime wearing the other opponent's uniform. That's exactly what that is. But using stolen equipment, I guess, on some level is all fair, I guess, especially since mobile suits were so new. But that's a thing. Like, think about that. That's that guy. I forget what his name is. I don't even know if we get it, but he has that awesome emblem on the side of his helmet. It's great. Anyway, moving on from that. So like I said, Sonnen dies a man's death, and tank warfare dies with him. Clive, I think, says this. Oh wait, no. Oliver, I forgot to put the R on here. Goddamn. Okay, maybe I'll leave it in there for the fun. So I forgot to completely finish Oliver's name because I scrawl everything down like a crackhead when I have these thoughts. So anyway, Oliver says in his final report that it dispelled its failures, and I think they maybe should have made more. Because it failed tests and all sorts of shit. And they were like, this piece of shit anyway. You want to take it, Mr. Tanker? Here, go have fun. And don't come back. Enjoy. Pretty much. That's what they did. They didn't give a shit. So, episode 3, now moving on. The Ohio unit is the first thing I wrote down. Because that unit of balls, right, with the sharks on their mouths and shit, with the shark mouth balls, the Ohio unit, son. Which we are also members of the Ohio unit, bitch. I must not have caught that. I laughed my ass off. I was laughing.
Did it say that in the subtitle, or did it say the Good Morning Unit?
It said Ohio and Ohio, so it's our state. It's the Ohio unit, but it's not the Good Morning.
Oh yeah, because they're the feds, right? Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, I guess I never made that connection.
Well, apparently Ohio has 3 balls. I guess.
Hell yeah, we did something.
Yeah, bitch, come get it. Welcome to Gun Forest. Anyway, the Ohio unit, you see it right there? It's well written too, with a nice little exclamation point. So, a high-ranking officer dies at the hands of his own project mobile suit. Jean-Luc Duval lies about the Zuda because propaganda, and he gets people killed. Stupid infighting between Zeonic and Zimad actually really prop this episode up. This is where the corruption is there, and it's between these two companies. Zeonic is the company that makes the Zaku, and Zimad is the company, right, that makes that. So this is something that's actually very important in Gundam history, like who makes the tech. Remember how like Anaheim Electronics gets, corrupted by the Titans, like I told you after 0083. Yeah. So they lose their way, but they were originally like the people who developed the Gundam. That was Anaheim Electronics. So they were originally good guys, but then they became perverted into bad guys. So technology companies are very important in like Gundam lore, which is a funny thing to say, I suppose. So anyway, Jean-Luc Duval did all that stupid infighting between Zeonic and Zimad. And redemption, though, for Jean-Luc at the very end with the Zuda, the Phantom Fighter, as he called it. Which is something interesting, because I think that concept is kind of fun, right? Because it was really just a tool. They really never actually intended for it to even be, like, put in actual combat, but they let Jean-Luc Duval go out there and play his little game with his little suit. Okay, little boy, go have fun in the sand, because he wouldn't let it go, because he had that ego. His ego was so wrapped up in it. You can tell, because every time somebody says something negative about it at all, what does he do? He flips his lid, right? And he gets pissed immediately, which that's clearly my man is a little too sensitive. He's a hard-ass military motherfucker, but you can't talk about his mobile suit or he gets literally angry and almost kills you unless the alarm goes off and saves your life. So you know what I mean? Like, again, it seems to me like the brass didn't give a shit about him either, and they were like, go play with it in the sand, you little boy.
Yeah.
Have fun. And really, it was never supposed to be in combat. They were going to, like, keep them away, but all of the Operation Odessa all of that up royally because all of those people ejected into the sky hoping to get picked up. And they got the order, hey, immediately, everybody in space, get your ass over the Odessa place right now and pick up everybody. So when they got there, though, he redeems himself by leading them away.
Yeah.
And he has that really like powerful moment where when the sun hits his eyes, finally, he's like, oh, shit, they think it's a monster? I can die in peace. All right, cool. Burn me up, bro. I don't give a shit. Let's blow this bitch up now. And it's this, oh man, it's just such a pure moment. And again, it makes so much sense from a, like, how the character would think standpoint. And they set it up from the start, bro. So, there are things I would talk about later. But that basically ends that episode. Is Jean-Luc Duval going the way of Old Yeller, except via exploding mobile suit instead of at the muzzle of a gun. Which, by the way, don't ever do that. I think you should, euthanize your pets in a actual humane manner. The shot out back is kind of crazy. Even though that's something that is prevalent with the Ohio unit, to be all the way real about it. So, that ends the actual first OVA. We're going to move into the second OVA right now. After I hit that Corona. Which there's going to be another one coming soon, boys. Woo, we're getting into it. So, episode number 1 of the second, which is, I think, Apocalypse 0079. Which is great. A great title, by the way. So, episode number 1. Captain takes on a failed mission after his friend from the 604th gets blown to smithereens. Werner Holbein is Chad as and like the most goddamn manly sailor in the goddamn world, right? So Oliver begins to realize it's pointless after 2 failures with this insanely impractical and suicidal piece of equipment, dude. I don't understand why they ever thought that it was a good idea to make the ZEGOC and the mobile diver system. So it's insanely specialized, right? It has to intercept something in the air or make like a dive bombing target, and then it has to be picked up and then taken back out of the atmosphere. How much shit is that cost? Xeon, and it's no wonder they themselves in the ass making dumb shit like this. It's so specialized, and they're lucky they got like the 2 shots off with it when they did with him, but he missed both of those times. And then the third time he finally gets it off with that ridiculous mega particle cannon that they just jacked out of a mobile armor and strapped to the bottom of this bitch with duct tape. That's basically what that is, by the way. And he hits all the ships, and it's like this great success, and he's like, yeah! And then out of nowhere, whoo, here comes some fighters, and they blow him out of the sky, like unceremoniously.
Oh, well, yeah.
It's terrible, man. This anime is very much a, oh, do you like this character? Too f***ing bad, he's dead, kaboom! Like, oh my god. It's like that. So if you're into that kind of thing, you'll like this, I guess, on some level, if you really like the characters. But anyway, after the 2 failures, Oliver realizes that it's pointless, and it is too little too late. Captain and Warner do what must be done, right? And not only to service the honor of the captain's dead friend, but Werner's dead grandfather, or so he thinks. The guy who he has the little harpoon pit from, right? They both do what must be done to honor those actual debts that they think that they owe to those men, right? Because the captain even said that guy who died was like the best man at his wedding, and he takes it like all heavy and hard then. So Werner dies, but his grandpa didn't actually die like he thought, and it's this big giant like double f*** you in the episode. So like, not only do they bring you in and like, you know, you feel, at least if you're from a man's standpoint, I can definitely understand like honoring, you know, your forerunners and the people that handed down certain traditions to you. And to have this like mythologized sort of like family, you know, funny story that you always tell everybody about your grandpa because he was a hard-ass man. And he went down and only the shark came up, but he never came back up. We still think he's swimming down there. And that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what more or less that he says. And then like after he dies, like the captain is like, he gets this message and the other guy's like, oh yeah, hey, I looked into that information, by the way. He didn't die. He didn't drown. And they're like, what do you mean? How do you know? Oh yeah, because he died in a hospital bed inside 3. And you're just like left to think that, oh, well, so Werner Holbein's like legendary grandfather was just like, nah, f*** all these people. I'm swimming right the hell out of here, and you guys are never going to see me again. He went to the store to get cigarettes by swimming there. To eventually just leave his family. But so it's like I said, it's like a double fuck you, and it's like, oh, left jab, you thought it was the same old left jab? Nah, bitch, it's a right straight. You know what I mean? Oh God, it's crazy how far they go. But that wraps up episode 1 and 2, and then next is episode 2 of MS IGLOO Apocalypse 0079. Oliver is yet again stuck with junk. He must evaluate a worker pod with guns strapped to it because Zeon is out of time and resources, so they must protect Side 3 at Abawaku because right about now the walls are closing in, hence the Apocalypse 0079 thing, and they're pulling everybody back in that was out there, and they need all hands on deck, basically. It's the last stand. So Herbert von Cuspin shows up to lead child soldiers, and he isn't happy about it. Cadillac's little brother is among them. He and a bunch of kids die shortly afterward, and something that we will talk about specifically because I think it might be one of the hardest punches I've ever seen an anime go for to try to make something emotional, you know. So Cadillac ugly cries to end the episode, and it turns out during that fight that it's child versus child. Y'all don't even know. We'll get there. Anyway, 2-3, right? Apocalypse Now, episode 3. The final battle at Abawaku. Oliver gets the big rang, which is one of the best things I've ever seen in my goddamn life, and is ordered to defend Field E, which is very specific, and we'll come back later. Even though he isn't a pilot, after Abawaku goes down, von Cuspin gets pissed and covers the retreat. Everyone dies except Oliver and Cadillac. After the Fetties attempt to murder all the remnants, because they just sort of go crazy. And after a ceasefire is announced, the Fetty assholes continue to try to shoot and just murder these people while they laugh mercilessly. It's actually a pretty terrifying scene. If you can put yourself in the shoes of those people who have to then fight these people who well overwhelm you. And you've heard the ceasefire, but they're like, that, we're killing them. We didn't get that message. Bang, bang. You know? Pretty up and crazy. So now we're going to move on to Gravity Front, which is the sequel, but confusingly also the third goddamn thing in the actual OVA lineup. But anyway, this one's going to be kind of heavy. So 3-1, right? Perspective switch to the Fetties getting invaded by Zeon in March of 0079. From the perspective of the anti-mobile suit unit, a Shinigami falls from an explosion in the sky. We then meet Ben Barberry, who commands the anti-MS platoon and is already feeling the PTSD before he is saddled the task of blowing Zaku's up using only people and rockets. So again, another fucking crazy cause and another person that they're just whatever, go do it. Let's see if you can stop him, asshole. We need you to buy time, so you're about to die. If you didn't catch on yet. He says they call him the Angel of Death because he's been the only survivor to come back every single time. The Shinigami then promptly visits Ben in his sleep. Shortly after that, they meet, what does it say? Oh, they meet some Zakus, and again, we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth later because it's such a cool thing that I want to just dedicate some time to talking about that particular scene and how the first time they take on Zakus and how they see them. It's something that's very, very special in my opinion, and we'll talk about it later. So moving on, episode number 2, The White Ogre, piloted by Elmer Schnell. And if you haven't noticed, the names are getting German as here at the end. He shows up and meets a guy. Meets a guy, right? We're in Northern Europe in July of 0079, following a unit fighting near the English Channel. We meet the 301st Tank Squadron, then Hermann Yandel, another quote-unquote Angel of Death, and Laban Surat, his new driver. They then reenact Moby Dick. 3-3. We meet First Lieutenant Ali Nazan, who is in prison for treason. It is explained that we are just about to take up Operation Odessa in November of 0079. Aline is given an experimental gun tank variant in order to fight. She ends up killing her former lover who defected only to have a this changes everything moment. And again, we'll get into those things. So that wraps up the summary. Thanks for bearing with us. Like I said, it was a lot to summarize, but I want to continue to keep that format together. Actually, do let me know if you thought that was too much. I think we should shorten it up, make it less than that. We will happily do so. We would like feedback. All feedback is helpful. So, moving on, my friend. Now we are through the summary. Okay, let's move into the actual topics that I picked out here, right? So, something that jumps out really, really quickly to me about this, especially as someone who's watched a lot of military documentaries, right, is that this portrays a changing of the guard, right? With all aspects of war morphing to mobile suit combat in space. And notice we start with artillery. We then go to the underwater Zagok thing, right? The old mobile suit of the past, the old prototype, the Zuda. Then we go to I skipped one. What was the one I skipped? Oh, the Hildolfer. So artillery, tank, the old prototype, marine combat with the Zagok, right? And then, God damn it, what's 5? I have the list right here. I'm retarded. What am I talking about? There's the mix. Oh, the Ogo. The Ogo's a little different because it doesn't really fail, and neither does the Big Rang. But those 4, the Ogo actually succeeds, and the Big Rang with the Ogos actually does a hell of a lot of work. So those are the ones that actually succeed out of all the things that are really shown. The gun tank that she uses it has different symbolism than the changing of the guard. But notice, in warfare, the mobile suits outclass every single last one of those things: artillery, tank, armor, underwater, and the old prototype. Right, the thing that the thing that it lost to in the tech wars. Right. So they all 4 of those episodes, they go well the fuck out of their way to show you that mobile suits are a deadly goddamn thing that need to be feared by all other types of warfare, right? And it's very true, because that's exactly how that happened. That's everybody on Earth was like, what the fuck are these things? You know what I mean? And that's why I think they really did gravity front. Remember I said I hated it at first, I didn't like it? Yeah. I've completely reversed course on that, because I think I understand it now much better, because they really are trying to hammer home this. Look, dude, look, Jack, this is what it was like when mobile suits showed up, and mobile suits just outclassed literally anything. And mobile suits fighting not only on the Earth, but then moving to space after Operation Odessa, after the Federation chased them. That was like the natural progression of war after that. And then thereafter, now every other Gundam after that that's in the UC timeline, space battles with mobile suits. Nobody's using tanks anymore. There's only one mobile tank, buddy, and it's this one. It's this one. That's it. No other one at all. So that's what the point of this anime really is, in my opinion. What do you think about that?
Wow, yeah, that's an interesting take. I was thinking that, maybe if they made a bunch of Hildolfers, they would have stood a better chance. Like, I really like the Hildolfer a lot. So if they get so outclassed, so...
Oh, well, listen, hold on, though. We will definitely get back into that. We're going to talk about the tech specifically, because I am that dude that makes those goddamn videos, man, and y'all know how I love the tech. And I'm telling you, we will get into exactly how all of that works out. We're going to rate them. We're going to talk about them. But I mean more so about that particular changing of the guard, theme that's going on behind the reins. Anything you thought about that other than that's an interesting take? Just curious. There's more I can plumb out of you from it.
Oh, I never noticed that it was like a slow upgrade each time. One other thing I want to point out, whenever they talked about the shells and the gravity front, like the shells increase in millimeters, like every time they talk about it. Yeah, it's like 150 to 180 and 190, 200.
And that's a deliberate thing, proliferation.
Yeah.
Right? Technological proliferation in the name of war. That is exactly what is going on here. And that's what Gundam's really all about at its core, is this eventual progression of technology, because that's what World War II was about, right? And remember always that Gundam is World War II in space. World War II and Star Wars in space, basically.
Yeah, condensed in a year.
More or less. So we'll move on to the next topic, right? That is that, the director of this was Takashi Imanishi, and the writers were Asahide Okuma, Hiroshi Onogi, and then Takashi Imanishi as well. So, one of those people in particular, Onogui, have you ever heard that name before?
Yeah.
Fair enough. He is prolific, still working today, right, my friends? Still working today. Responsible for, you ready for this shit? Mm-hmm. Razafan, okay? Oh. The first 25 episodes of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Oh, wow.
The entire series of AD Police, which is something that's very familiar from the 80s. That's something that I have in there that we'll watch. It's very gory and ridiculous. So this is just showcasing like how much depth this man has. And also a video game that I will soon cover here in the hangar called Omega Boost. Shout out to Darkja. I'm not sure how to say your name, but you requested it. It's on the screen right here. You're gonna see it. And the guy that wrote this wrote that too. So, did you know that? I take it from your reaction that you had no idea.
No, Japanese names I usually don't remember them or can really associate them with animes like pretty much at all.
Makes sense. I understand because it's just so different from us and us round eyes over here.
Yeah, they're hard to remember.
Yes, for sure, because they're very much outside of our cultural like grasp in a lot of ways. But this is something that always happens, right? There's always like some sort of like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon shit going on. You know what I mean? There's always somebody somewhere who's like prolific as something that I missed in our G Savior review. The guy that designed, right? You remember the guppy, the underwater mobile suit that Mark Kern starts in.
Yeah.
The guy who designed that, right? He was the art director for f***ing Avatar. Avatar. Yeah, Avatar. Yeah. That dude has done so many amazing movies, and that was like one of the first things he ever did, I guess. So that's something that I missed, right? And that's what I'm saying. Like doing the research, you find funny things like this. So, all right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. We've avoided it long enough.
I don't know.
What do you think? What do you think about you? Well, I mean, you're gonna see it once I talk about it. What do you think about the way that this looks?
Oh yeah,
the elephant in the room, and you didn't see it.
Well, we've seen it so many times that like we just kind of like can look past it at this point. So it's not the first thing on my mind much anymore, except whenever they like are frustrated. When they make that face. A couple of faces up here. Yeah, or they're surprised, and those are like really terrible. And like the mouth opens up like way more. It's like a Team Fortress 2 like video.
Yes, I agree completely, and it's I guess so for the time the first so for reference. Let me state this for context out there for those of you who might get mad about this. 2004, 2006, 2008 were respectively across the way. You know, MS IGLOO, Apocalypse 0079, MS IGLOO 2, Gravity Front, in that order, 04, 06, 08. So for the time, I think in 04, that shit was ballers. And then by the time, I think actually, in some ways, if you're somebody who appreciates that style of like the old FMV stuff, Gravity Front looks pretty goddamn good in a lot of ways. That Shinigami looks great in a lot of shots. I think the oversaturation is just something we were never going to get away from, and the shading and stuff like that. We're just going to have to let that go for that. And that's what I mean. If you're into that style, this will appeal to you. There are people out there that like just this. So there might even be people that come watch this review just because it's like this. And that's what I think. If you like that, then you're going to be right at home. But to me, it looks like Xavier Renegade Gundam to me. And it's exactly what it is.
What doth life? Are we just fleshy blips in some meaningless stew of cosmic oblivion? Or is it vice versa? Hello? Who's this? I'm asking the questions. I called you. No, I called you, and you sound like the ugliest son of a bitch I ever heard.
We went through that, like, after we watched it the first time. I was like, have you ever seen Xavier Renegade Gundam, dude? Because it fucking looks just like that. And it really is, like, dead on to, like, that same art style. It's just, like, Japanese people are doing it, and they're doing it very seriously instead of some jackass who's, like, got, like, an engine and, like, making the snake man goat person do all this stupid shit.
Their teeth look terrible, like the teeth, and they tried so hard to show the teeth. It's like it was before they really figured out facial expressions with like CGI and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like remember like when Oblivion came out and like those like facial expressions.
That's a good
one. Or Team Fortress 2. I mean, I think that was a little bit later, but still, like they're memes because of how ridiculous they are.
Right? Yeah, because they're ridiculous. You're right. Yeah. Well, no, and you're. I think you're 1,000% right about this because. You guys probably, like, I don't even know. At this point, I have no idea what sort of funny little edit I'm going to do with MS IGLOO, but I can almost guarantee you it's going to have something to do with those faces and, like, horror music for sure. So, we're going to have fun with it. But, man, it just looks like a really good Xbox game, you know? And Xbox was, like, the best in its era in terms of, performance and all that stuff, so. But it's still that era.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I wonder if we could find a better like cutscene from the Xbox that's better than the animation in that.
Probably. Should have some on record.
Yeah, whenever they do that shader thing, it's like I recall like some cutscenes on like the PS1 of like level of how bad it is. Like when he's in that office talking to that guy, and like the beams are just like really forced, and it's like it goes behind him and like in front of him. It's like so obnoxious. It reminds me of like it was like a Final Fantasy cutscene.
Yeah, the briefing. No, you're totally okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, you're right.
But the eyes are really weird too. Like the eyes are like glossy. Like
so, this is I think like but like when they figured out 3D modeling, like the first time when they first got bodies looking good, but they weren't as well into the faces and the actual shadows and shaders and shit yet.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting time because the models, the character models look fine. It's just when they try to get those shaders involved, everything is just like.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as they don't have to zoom in on somebody's face, it's not too bad.
Yeah. Well, the mobile suits all look pretty good. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Most of them look great, and the battle scenes and all that stuff, that all looks great. And I mean, for most of the Gundam fans, they'll be able to look past that because they're there for giant robots to explode. But yeah, so I just think, I don't know, it's arguably the biggest flaw, if not the biggest flaw. I mean, like, there are things I'll bring up later. There are other holes in this that I'll bring up later, although surprisingly not that many. So yeah, that's the other thing. Like, that particular look is very bad, and I think that detracts from it very deeply. And a lot of people just can't get past that. Like you said, we're desensitized now. Where we have completely undergone the exposure therapy that we needed to undergo to actually get through this sort of like psychological torture. And I just played Scorn too, which is literal psychological torture, by the way, that game. Go watch that Let's Play and that long play if you want to watch it. It'll be on the channel. I had a lot of fun with it. And I had to literally go buy a guide because it's utterly confusing. Like, there's no map, there's no, like, you just have to figure it the fuck out.
Oh, cool.
There's literally no UI other than a very little thing. The only UI you get is this little like weird creature that holds all your weird creature that's ammo and all your other weird creature for your weird creature gun. And I can't, it's hard to explain, dude. It's legit. And you know I have articulation skills, right? And I swear to God, dude, I cannot fully put this game into words. It's, anybody who's played it, you know what I'm talking about. And like I said, it's one of those games. Anyways, we're going to move on. And that game looks insanely amazing, by the way, especially in comparison to this trite, terrible shit. But at the time, it was like cutting edge, right? And they spent a lot of money on this, you can tell, but it all went to the mobile suit battles. They were like, the characters.
Doesn't matter. They had to cut a corner somewhere to make it work.
Sure, right? Yeah, for the you know, the shit at the time. So anyway, moving on to something that is also still visual. One thing I think that they really understand with this is how to present it. Not only just in the beginning, but I mean, Takashi Imanishi, quite literally, is the guy who directs all of this. These people directed and wrote everything. So it's the same team, all three of these, which is kind of cool. I like that they did that. And this person really understands presentation, right? And it, like, to start with the briefing, which is what you were talking about, when he walks into the room and he talks to that guy who's like, listen, asshole, here's this project. Don't talk to me anymore. So you're like, I hope you don't die, you know? So that guy, and when he goes in there and talks to that guy, that's a genius thing to present it as, because it makes sense. He would go there to get information from that guy, and that guy would explain what he's getting to him. So that's free exposition that they can just dress up as like a military, like matter of fact, like just a matter of form, because they have to do it to get the assignment. You know what I mean? So they use that as exposition. That's a fun way to work exposition in, and it's not just some guy being like, and you see 0079. You know what I mean? It's a fun way to put it in there instead of just some narrator, which can be fun, as we've seen in Mobile Fighter G Gundam, to be fair. So, as well as ending with Oliver Mai actually writing his report, and we're hearing his inner monologue. Yeah. That's another very genius way to not only start but finish the episode. It's a very smart way to do that, because we're hearing Oliver Mai's thoughts. We get to experience it with him from his perspective, and then we literally get to hear exactly what his final thoughts are in his report. And I'll be goddamn something. Shout out to Oliver Mai, because he's super objective, and I love that about him. I really do. Like, Oliver Mai will tell it like it is, man. That's a good fucking engineer right there. That dude will tell you, hey, this doesn't work. This sucks. Get this out of my face.
Yeah, it's not very good.
Y'all don't want to do this again. Send this back. It was just something like, he basically says that. But it's genius to do that. And also, it's like I said, it's a perfect way to justify free exposition. Gravity Front accomplishes this with Xeon and actual Federation propaganda. It uses propaganda as an exposition tool, both as a fake one and a real one, which is awesome and smart, and something that you may not have actually noticed because of like maybe being turned off by her, but the Shinigami actually is also an exposition machine. She quite literally narrates their thoughts and does so in like this taunting way, because she's this goddess of death, right? Who descends from the heavens and is like, ah ha ha, I know exactly what you're thinking. I love your kind of soul, bitch. And she's just like, ha ha, doink, and like fucking around with him. Basically, I can't wait to eat your soul, doink, doink. Like poking him like I poke my cat to mess around with her sometimes. So she's literally just like taunting them, right? And like narrating their thoughts and with them in their dreams, and quite literally sitting there and making sure that one of them lives so she can continue to feed off of her negative emotions after having killed her fiance unnecessarily. God damn, and that's what I mean. Like, so she delivers exposition in a lot of those scenes.
Yeah.
And that's another way to really, I think, accomplish that. And it's very smart to work it in like that, since they all want to be, you know, dick hard for Shintoism and shit like that. So, which, you know, more power to you, whatever. What do you think about that presentation?
Yeah, she literally tells the exposition at the end, like it's her. She's like, "This is what really happened. Here's the exposition."
Right. More or less. But it makes sense because she's like some otherworldly god, right? Who like literally just feeds off of death. She's only there because it's like this battlefield.
Yeah, I like the dramatic scenes they do where it's like the planet in the background and then it's like the dramatic look up.
Right.
It fades out. They do that multiple times, at least 2 or 3 times.
I'll put it in right here, right here.
I laugh every time I see it.
It's pretty crazy, man. It's definitely like a little
And they got the flag that fades out too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you're talking about like at the end of. Oh yeah, so like.
Yeah, that's a different thing, but yeah, that the flag is like a separate thing that happens.
Yeah, no, it fades in during the actual like the actual show too. A couple.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
Yeah, no, and I love that too. Like, I swear to God, I'm gonna try to get that made just so I can have it waving behind me. Because I love that flag. I'm gonna buy that flag, and my neighbors are gonna think I'm a Nazi.
Yeah, gee, I wonder what that flag is supposed to emulate.
Oh, I can tell you 100% exactly what it was. It's the Kriegsmarine flag from the Third Reich's Navy. That's their naval flag.
Oh wow!
But they just took the swastika out and put the Xeon emblem in it. Done. Hey boys, can I remind you of anything? Yeah.
There's no effort there.
I can't remember. I can't wait. Like I said, when I get my own place, like I'm definitely like my own house. I'm gonna fucking buy a flagpole and mount that shit and just literally run an American flag, a Neo-American flag, and then the Xeon flag underneath of it. Motherfuckers gonna be like, what the?
Yeah, people are gonna be asking questions.
Good. Like, do you like Nazis? Does that look like the swastika, dumbass? What do you mean? Thanks for accusing me of being a Nazi. Anyway, like I'm ready for that.
Yeah. Anyway, Nazis.
Yeah, well, that's basically what the Xeon is. The big Xeon, bitch.
Yeah, they even do like the German style marching music and everything. It's legit.
Yes, they do. they 100% are nailing it.
It's a parody. And the story in the first parts were a lot better than the last part. But I don't know. I guess like the last 2 episodes, I don't like the story too much. But the one with I can't remember his name, but
Ben Barberry.
Yeah, the guy who shoots the gun at the might be one of the best episodes.
I agree. I think the last one is probably the worst one. We'll get to that.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's a good topic to come back to. So speaking of which, speaking of those first ones, right? Brilliantly and painfully showcases the folly and wasted sacrifices surrounding governmental incompetence, the too little too late concept, and military overexhaustion, and also lost causes. All of that is going on here. So, as you were just speaking about, right, so many of these people, like I said, it brilliantly and painfully showcases these, because these people roll through all these emotional roller coasters, and they pull every trick in the book to make you fucking relate with these characters as quickly as possible, and just to kill them off in like 5 seconds. Just to prove some point about one of those things that I just mentioned, right? So the people of Zeon, like the government of Zeon, is so goddamn incompetent that they thought the Hildolfer was something that was below standard and like was dumb and that they never should have used. Meanwhile, in that dude's fucking hands, who was already somebody who could train people, by the way, that guy's hands, he fucking rocked a squadron of Zaku's that were great. They were great. So it's literally set up hard as fuck. That guy, he has a fucking eye patch, okay? The guy who steals the Zaku's and almost kills him at the end of that. I forget what Sonin, whatever the fuck his first name is. But he almost gets killed by that guy. If it wasn't for how hard of a man that dude was, too, and how good he was with that amazing machine to take out all of those Zaku's, even like f***ed up with one's like arm in its tracks and shit. That thing was amazing in his hands, and that's why Oliver Mine was like, hey, you guys f***ed up. I think we need to reevaluate this thing. It dispelled all of its failures in my eyes. This thing was amazing, and it was like that. But he still dies at the end. You know what I mean?
Sad.
It's terrible. They build that up, and they continue to break that down, and that's governmental incompetence. He never should have been there. They should have made more Hildolfers, like you just said. They should have. Because, goddamn, a mobile tank? I'm surprised I haven't tried to do it again, really, in Gundam, but I swear, as of today, like, as of, what is it, the 13th of March in 2024, at goddamn, 3:41 in the morning, which we do real motherfucker hours, but it is still the only mobile tank at all. The other ones are just tanks. They don't have a mobile suit strapped to the top of them with a gun on its head. So that's the government incompetence never should have happened there. If smart people were there, they would be like, whoa, that's badass.
Yeah, tanks doing flips and shit.
Holy shit, that thing rides around super quick too, so it has power, speed, armor. What the do you want, especially in that setting? Reinforce the treads, that's really the only fatal flaw y'all gotta figure out, but that's something with all tanks anyway. Which is why it ended up like that, why the tank was disabled by mobile suits and it eventually got blown up and he eventually died. So, but they made it clear that, hey, we respect mechanized warfare because it was really close when we mixed it with a mobile suit. But they constantly show them getting blown to smithereens and tossed aside because they're cannon fodder. Because nothing can stand up to it, right? Again, changing the guard right in your fucking mouth. Warfare is changing right in front of your face, more or less. But it's interesting that they do that, right? And another thing, too little, too late, right? So the Zuda, right? Too little, too late. They didn't change anything, and it was far too late to actually do anything with that, right? And also looking at like the Ogo, too little, too late. It's literally too little, and it's also too late.
Nice.
Furthermore, the big Rang, just too late, man. There was a lot to that, and it was a very powerful thing, but still just too late. You know what I mean? Well, too late to actually affect anything. Same with the Hilldolfer, man. It was, again, just too late. Like, it's not too little because that thing is giant. So, but this, you see how this theme pervades the entire time. The Zegok, the Z-Egok with the mobile pod diver is literally both too little and too late because he missed 2 shots because he waited too f***ing long. You see the threads here?
Yeah. Fire it promptly.
Dude, it literally said it, and he was like, nah. My grandpa always said, wait till you see the fish. Something stupid like that. And then fucking hits the button. It's something dumb like that. I can't remember what it is, but it's just like that. No, and it literally says fire promptly.
Because it actually says fire it promptly.
It does it fair enough.
Yeah.
We'll put it up on the screen.
Which I thought was weird because you would normally just have it say fire promptly. So that's why it stood out to me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I don't remember that, but I believe you. You're probably right. So, but like I said, these concepts and the governmental incompetence to think that thing was a smart thing to build anyway after looking at the design. Where was the person who was like, how many times do we have to take this thing in and out of the atmosphere? Every single mission?
Yeah.
This thing is a fucking cash hole. This is a black hole of money right here. What the fuck are you guys doing? Stupid. You know what I mean? Why? It's suicidal. I mean, to do that, you're exposing the damn thing, and there's no protection. There's no retinue of fighters or some squadron of fighters that you put with it to at least try to protect the goddamn thing.
Yeah, I believe they do mention in the episode it's disposable.
Right. Oh yeah, they don't care about it. That's another thing. They just don't give it. But this is so stupid for them to even try to why are they even trying to do this? And it's because they're balls ass desperate and they just really don't know what they're doing. Governmental incompetence.
Let's try and see what happens.
Pretty much. Let's waste some money. We have it there.
Yeah, they do a totally different thing every time too. So it's they reimagine it until they figure something out.
Pretty much, dude. And you see the theme. It's there. And even even in Gravity Front, okay, governmental incompetence, right? They should have totally told Homegirl that her boyfriend wasn't actually a real agent and he was actually a double agent working for the Federation, posing as a spy with Zeon, because that's what was happening. They gave him the gun tank plans, and he went there and was like, "Look at this." And then the Federation, which this actually ties up like a loose end plot hole in the originals in the movie. This is why they retired the gun tank, more or less, because the plans are already in Zeon's hands, and they're not going to risk people's lives just throwing them out there. But they didn't give a about her, and she was saddled with a lost cause of, here you go, dumbass, you're a prisoner, go fight. We need every person here. Take this, ha ha ha. Remember this mobile suit? You know how to pilot it, don't you? Get your ass in it and go kill some people, bitch. It's brutal as dude. And she's literally in jail when the episode starts, right? But again, governmental incompetence, if she's even there, she shouldn't be there at all. I get that they're trying really hard to make it look like they're actually spies, but Jesus, you couldn't have even clued her in on it. But it's crazy, and then the whole too little, too late. She probably did a little too much, too late. I think. You know what I mean? She probably did too much. That might be the one that we actually subvert the trope with. But you know, the military overextension, all of these fucking stupid projects, doing all this stupid bullshit all over the time. So, a little bit Gundam history right here, right? Right around this same time, in Africa, okay, there is a giant money waste, another money pit going on, and it's the Obsolesce. It's another mobile armor that eventually failed and was never actually completed. The family were like a big-time family in Zeon. They were like a very smart engineering family, and they wanted to design the Obsolesce themselves. And the zombies were like, here's a bunch of money. What's the worst that could happen? Oh, it's an abject failure and it gets blown up every single time. They bring it to completion, but that's in the 8th MS team, which we'll get there eventually, like down the road. Yeah. There's so much with 0079 before we can move on, like chronologically, which I know we should probably do. So anyway, so not only all of this bullshit that happens in this is going on, but the Obsolesce at the Zuda and all this bullshit that's going on, all this money that's being wasted when they could just spend it on actual ammo and like more Zaku 2s, more Gelgoobs actually, since they were better than the Gundam. Train more people, but make more Zeongs for fuck's sake, make more Big Zams, more Hilldolfers.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You would take Earth over with like 30 of those.
Oh man, yeah, that's a scary thought.
Yeah, like 30 of those strategically placed around with like Zaku squads as like a retinue of guards and shit. Get the fuck out. Who's stopping that? Gundam my ass. Get the fuck out of here. There would be no Gundam. It would be Hilldolfer. You know what I mean? Hilldolfer and Igloo. But anyway, it's just crazy how those themes continue. That governmental incompetence, the too little too late, the military overextension, and the lost causes. Everybody's kicked out. All of those projects, the Hilldolfer was a lost cause. They didn't think it was worth anything. They didn't give a shit about that tank trainer guy either because nobody wanted to pilot tanks. They all wanted to do mobile suits. Lost cause. Get the fuck out of here. Too little too late, man. Go. You know what I mean? And it's just there. Everywhere you look. Everywhere. All over this anime. It's such a big concept. So, moving on from that. Hold on. Do you have any other thoughts you want to add to that?
Yeah. The whole point is like this ship gets saddled with all these lost causes, and then like they're basically like their disposal unit.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and like when the Zuda's like, yeah, Dan, just keep the Zudas.
Yeah, just keep them.
Yeah,
we
whatever.
Don't want them. Yeah, because they're Phantom Fighters. They were just a propaganda tool.
When they dropped the tank, they just said to leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sold out every single.
Yeah, felt bad for the captain. He was all excited that he got the Gundams or he was involved with that. He was like, wow, we got mobile suits now, awesome. And then at the end, he's just like,
we
damn
mobile suits. Yeah, like those mobile suits. We have death traps.
Yeah.
So yeah, you notice that, right? And it's all the way through, like from start to goddamn finish. I'm sorry to dump this on you fresh out of the academy, but here's all this bullshit. Talk to you later.
Yeah, with the finale of the really big one, the big Zam. What was that called?
Do you mean the big ring?
Boomerang, yeah, boomerang. Yeah,
sure,
that's another
the
thing.
red boomerang.
Red boomerang guy. Hey, at least you know it's fast.
Yes, it's definitely 3 times as fast as it otherwise would be.
And so after going through all those headaches and then they show up with that, you just got to be like...
Well, but that actually is something that worked.
Yeah,
and
finally.
Worked really well, and it was kind of something that was really just thrown together because they didn't have the top for the original part of the big ring, so they were just like, slap a Biguro on there. Those are good, right? And it's like it's a whole other mobile armor that's strapped on onto the bottom of another mobile armor that was never actually completed because they needed to just make it work. But that thing was great, which we will get into because it's I have a big boner. I'm gonna jerk off about it. So anyway, was there anything else? Yes. Was there anything else? Okay. Moving on. This does a fantastic job tying into the UC timeline. Okay, from the colony drop. The colony drop photo watermark in the beginning of Gravity Front has the 603rd Technical Unit's watermark on it, by the way. The Gundam picture, which is from Gene's Zaku, do you remember that scene? Where the director guy shows him that fucking video of the Gundam, like, murdering that other person in like, horrifying fashion?
Yeah.
That's actually, the novelization of this confirms that video came from Gene's Zaku 1. Which, remember, the first time we ever see a Zaku 1 in the Mobile Suit Gundam movie, it's Char's friend, Gene. So it's literally that scene. It's what we didn't see. It's literally Amuro ripping Gene out of the goddamn cockpit and killing him. It's what was off screen. And we get it from that like black box like cockpit thing where the pilot is freaking the out because he's like, what is this thing? I'm telling you, man, this is so well made if you're a Gundam fan and you really care about this shit. You're like the little like threads and shit that are all over it, and we're not done. So the Gundam image from Gene's goddamn Zaku 1, the thing that pretty much started it all between Amuro and Char, because Char was immediately pissed off that his friend Gene got murdered by this punk ass kid. From there on, it was beef on site between the two of them, and it never stopped for like 7 more goddamn series. So anyway, moving on from that, the gun tank crosshairs. Okay, the crosshairs in like the cockpit and everything. It's like an exact digital replica of what Kai and Hayato use in the gun tank in MSG. Like it's perfect, like almost 1-to-1. I'm gonna put it up on the screen here. The Matilda squad reinforces Mr. Barberry's unit before he goes out and does what he does with the Zakus. The Matilda squad, the redheaded lady that Amuro falls in love with. When he's like 17, he falls in love with this really hot, like 28-year-old like military officer lady.
Yeah.
It's her squad. It's that bitch's squad. And then she very tragically gets murdered after he falls in love with her. So it's another thing that like f***s with his psyche and makes him want to kill Char. And it's just a reference to that. She literally resupplies Ben Barberry's unit before they go out and, meet the Zakus. So a nice reference. The core booster from the Mobile Suit Gundam movies is what shoots down the mobile diver in the Z-Egok before it can dock with the ship again.
Oh, wow. Dang.
Yep.
Wow.
Straight up those, dude. And so the GMC, right, is the main mobile suit of the Federation in 0083. We see it all over the place, especially at the very end of MS IGLOO, Apocalypse 0079. And then finally, Noin Bitters himself gets called out by name in this. I was telling you about this earlier. And Noin Bitters is the guy that shelters Anavel Gato after he steals the GPO-2A and then launches him into space out of this secret base that he holds up in for 4 goddamn years without the Federation finding him. 4 years. These many years. The Federation had no idea that this motherfucker was like in their backyard. Like Jaburo's not that far away from Africa. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's in Africa. I could be wrong, I can't remember, but it's not that far away. It was like right under their nose. And it was like inside this giant mountain. And they built it while they were on the planet. They're like, it's like some shit that we did, right? In 7 Days to Die, which by the way, go watch that if you want to.
Sneaky.
Building a mountain base. We like this mountain. Anyway. So, like I said, that is just kind of the tip of the iceberg. These are some of the ones that are a little harder to see. I mean, obviously the colony drop and the Battle of Loum, but these are things for the hardcore Gundam fans out there who want all the little references. These are all the ones that I could find and the internet could find. So, these are all kind of weird and they're out of the way. But anyway, flipping this over, is there anything you wanted to say about?
I don't know about any of those,
of
pretty
course.
much. Yeah.
Right. Like I said, it's going to be a doozy, man. I was going to pull some shit out on you.
Yeah, it's been very informative.
Yes, sir. Gundam history over here. Like I said,
Gundam expert.
I think we're there, man. I think I could teach a class on this really quick.
Gundam masterclass.
Corona masterclass. You got to drink Coronas while you're in that class, or else you don't get the credit for it, bitch.
Well, I guess I ain't doing that.
Oh, damn. Well, I'll give you a free lesson. You don't have to do that since you're my best friend. I won't charge you. You're pretty much getting it next to me anyway, just sitting here. You won't remember any of this, but it's cool.
No, I think I will.
No, fair enough. You're going to need it for the future.
Yeah, because I watched it before at home too, so I've actually seen this like 4 times now.
Fair enough.
So sticking pretty well.
I'm glad. That's good. So everyone dies. Okay? Everybody f***ing dies. You like the character? F*** you, he's dead. He, whatever, it's dead. If it gets in a prototype, it's dead. Other than Oliver Mine.
Yeah,
that's
they spared
literally
him.
it. That's it.
I was so convinced he was going to die too. I'm like, yeah, he's dead. He's definitely dead.
No more Oliver Mine. Damn, they killed the protagonist too, but no, they brought him back. But we'll get into him and what happens to him. I have thoughts about that. So anyway, no one is safe. Not even f***ing children. And I'm talking about a lot of children. At least six of them die, I think.
Yep.
Not new to Gundam, but it's turned up to f***ing 10, like in 0080. Remember 0080? Where that giant stone slab falls on that kid and crushes him and shit, and they show like the fucking teddy bear and shit next to the stone slab in the blood. Not subtle, guys. I'm telling you, but this is war is hell, and death is synonymous with war, and it is very true to Gundam in that regard. But it's hard, man. This shit, especially if you end up actually connecting with these characters and stuff like that, if you actually find them like interesting and stuff like that, because you care about Gundam, it's gonna rock you in a lot of ways. Like I consider myself a hard ass man, and even that fucking scene, especially this last time when I watched it like earlier today, where Cadillac loses her brother and like she fucking like just ugly Cries. Like, loud as I understood it much more watching it this time because they have that, like, adversarial relationship, right? And she really does love her brother. They're just fucking, like, angry. Because, number one, she's a redhead, and redheads can't help themselves with talking to you. Male or female, by the way. It's the Ireland thing, man. And I think I've explained to you, right? It's funny that it's called Ireland, right? Because you know what ire means, don't you?
Yeah.
IRE, like it's literally hatred, anger land, like quite literally. Everybody's fucking mad there, and their hair's on fire. It's hilarious. But anyway, segueing away from that, Cadillac is some fucking random redheaded Japanese girl. Like by the looks of it, like she doesn't look Irish or anything like that. She looks Japanese to me.
Oh,
the way that they animated her.
She has blue eyes though.
It's just green. They're green eyes.
Oh, they're green, but it's still green eyes even more.
Yeah,
rare.
but her facial structure is like very Japanese. So I wonder.
But they have the one Asian guy though, and he looks really Japanese.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so,
but anyway, that's another thing. That's more in the looks. But back to the everyone dies thing. And care to weigh in on that? What are your thoughts on the everyone dies thing?
Well, I'm glad they spared my boy Oliver.
Yes.
Man, they really had us going with Cadillac's little brother. That like I remember the first time we watched that, like we were so convinced, like, oh yeah, he's totally coming back. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, because he had all the death flags. Like, yeah, they finally did it. They finally pulled the rug back out from under us. You're right.
Yeah.
But then they.
I think that's Japan has this tendency to just be okay with killing children on screen all the time.
Apparently.
Where like in America media. They're a little more weary to do that, so it's a lot more rare. Like if you think about Skyrim, like it's like no, you can't kill children.
You can't even touch them. Whereas even in the old Fallout games, you could. In 1 and 2, you could, but if you did it in 2, they would track you down. You would have bounty hunters that followed you for the rest of the game. Yeah. I'm cool with that.
I'm sure we can think of some Japanese games where children die.
Sure. Oh no, it happens a lot in Gundam, dude. It happens a whole lot in Gundam. I mean, Amuro, all the people that die.
Yeah, I have to wonder if that like affects the anime's ability to be shown on TV, and if I think a lot of roadblocks happen because of children being abused.
Most likely why this never got a translation, right? Because this is only sub. This is the only way you can get it like this. As far as I know, there was no actual dub because we would almost always prefer the dub, just because the reading is kind of like insane, but.
Yeah, this anime is a great workshop on death flags.
Oh, yes. Actually, it's funny that you say that, my friend, because... See that? You want to read? Can you read that?
An absolute treatise
on
death flags. Oh, wow.
Nice. Yep. We came to the same conclusion there. Every dirty trick. Every... trick in the book. I can't believe I didn't put that, but it is literally an absolute treatise, which is like a consummate manual, right? Like on a subject like that. It is quite literally exactly that. You're right. Yeah. You hit the nail right on the fucking head. This is a study. You could literally teach a class on death flags with this whole anime, all 4.5 hours of it. You could do it. You could. Because it's just chock full of them, dude. I can't wait to see you. We're going to have dinner when you get back. You're like, I'm not, dude.
Yeah, every time it's like,
like I said, every dirty trick. So, okay, since we're talking about Kadarakoru and her little brother, right? So when they all, so he is a good pilot, right? And he actually, when Von Kemper, I think, Von Kempfer, god damn it, I have it written down. When Von Kempfer comes and shows up, right? He says, he starts like, he notices like immediately that all of these are teenagers, and he's pissed. Like as soon as he looks at him, he's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? This is what they said."
Honor.
This isn't even honorable. And he immediately is like, "You, how many hours of training have you had? You, what do you know? You, how old are you?" And then he says something like, "Who amongst you stands up for this? Why did they send me such children?" And then her Cadillac's little brother steps out and says something like, "Man," and is like, because we want to do it. We want to fight. And he walks over and he looks at him and he gives him this like evil look, and the kid doesn't flinch. And in military terminology, that's like, "I love you" from the commanding officer. Like if he does that to you and singles you out, and then you stand up and he comes up and tries to intimidate you, and you stand there like a man, they're gonna be like, "Oh, that's the leader. That's the guy who's about to be the squad leader right there." Because he stood up and actually had some balls. This guy can get some done. And that bears itself out with him, right? And we get to see him, and they have that little, "Oh, hey, it's you. Oh my God, little brother. Holy shit, why the fuck are you here? You're way too young." And they have that like argument and shit. But it's all from like a place of love in her crazy redheaded Ireland mind. I love you all. Don't take that offensively. But anyway, she gets mad at him, and then they have their little fight, and then he goes off, and it turns out not only does he have a little sack, but the motherfucker can really whoop some ass with an Ogo. He quite literally takes the cannon off of the ball's head and and smacks it right upside the fucking head, knocks it into another one, and they both fucking blow up, dude.
Yeah.
The kid's got some goddamn skills, right? So we get all of that. We get all of that backup with him, that backstory. We see that they have that him and Cadillac have that relationship. He's a good pilot, so you want to root for him, right? He's a little kid. You don't want to die. So you want to root for him so bad. Dirty tricks after dirty tricks, right? So then he gets into battle, and it's like, oh shit, he might die, but then like, because he sees his friend get blown up, and he goes through like a PTSD coma, like really quick, and he's like, what do I do? And like he snaps out of it and fucking does some hard ass shit and talks the dude out of wanting to fight, which is even harder to do. He beat him with words.
Naruto'd him.
Yeah, he beat him with his talk no jutsu. You know what I mean? Activation, motherfucker, kaboom, right out of his mouth. And the guy's like, all right, fine, I won't fight anymore. And then they play this really happy, uplifting music, right? And you're like, hell yeah. And he's like, okay, hey, Jotunheim, requesting pickup. I have one enemy ball with me. And like all the boys in the fucking hangar are like, yeah. Like fucking like, oh my god, so much. Completely just whoops. Oh yeah. And then like all of a sudden out of nowhere, here comes the both of those battleships that drop those balls off, and it's boom, boom, boom. And immediately they not only kill the ball, but they kill him too. Just like that. After they show his sister being all like happy and shit, dude, dirty tricks, okay?
It's bad.
It is so harsh, and like if you again like empathize with those characters at all, it's hard to watch something like that because they, like I said, it's some of the worst emotional manipulation I think I've ever seen. It's dirty.
Yeah, I didn't like that episode too much.
I actually, dude, it's hard for me to find a bad one. Really, I think the final one is probably the worst one. The third one,
yeah.
But there's very I like the second to last one. Because that the I think it's a little trite because it's the Captain Ahab story and all that shit.
Yeah, it's kind of lame.
I like how they do it though because it's with mobile suits and the white ogre is this thing to be feared for sure.
Yeah, the white ogre looks really cool too.
Yes, it does. I think it's the only white Zaku, or the white Zaku too.
Yeah, not so much a red flag, but in the episode with the first episode of that Gravity Front, I can't think of the guy's name.
Oh, Ben Barbary.
Yeah, I thought that was like the best use of like subtle foreshadowing, because I know a lot of anime has trouble with like being really obvious about its foreshadowing. But it's just like a passing thought, right? It's just like, oh, I thought there were supposed to be three Zakus today, and then it's just like this passing thought, and they just kind of move on with it.
But then they bring it back on you like that,
yeah. So I thought that was a really good use of foreshadowing.
Listen, like I said before, I think they really do. This is I haven't said this yet, but I told you before that this is well written and well paced, and I think you're right about that. Hold on, where were we at? We were everyone dies. That's what we were talking about, right? So, and also I added this other note, like right under that, piloting a prototype is a death sentence unless you're actually Oliver Mai, and that is Diabolos ex machina, which is devil from the machine instead of God from the machine, meaning every time you get into the actual, you're going to meet the devil. Because the devil comes from the machine itself, right? So it's quite literally a death flag itself to be the guy who shows up today to pilot the prototype. He's the red shirt
today,
right? Yeah, he's the red shirt from the Star Trek, right? He's like, oh yeah, hey, Mr. Spock, prepare for beaming down, Lord. We are going to take yourself, myself, and Ensign Jeff. And Jeff is like, oh, I'm dying today. Basically, it's the Family Guy joke.
Do you think that Zeon would have won if Oliver test piloted everything, and then Zeon wins the war because of that?
You mean if he was older and he graduated the academy sooner? Because that's really the only thing. He was fresh out of the academy to start this. No. I don't think so.
Oh, he's not hot.
No, he is hot. But I don't think the people above him are competent enough to actually listen. And that's the problem with Zeon, because the zombie family have it and run it right to the ground, right? So you could have 1,000,000 Oliver Mai's, but if the people up above them are too dumb to make the right decisions and pick the right projects and interpret the data the right way so that you don't leave this amazing piece of machinery on the cutting room floor, it doesn't matter what Oliver Mai says.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, like, he goes on the mission, he survives all of them because he's the only person that can survive. So what if he did all the mission? He survives all of them, and thus returns better results for them because he didn't die in the mission. Maybe has more success.
Maybe.
And then they're like, you know what? We will make 200 Hildoffers.
Maybe more than that.
Or 200,000.
No, yeah. Oh God, the universe is there. So, but no. So like, I think maybe if you mean if they listen though, like I said, it doesn't matter what he says or how good the data is if they actually don't listen. But if you say with the caveat that they actually do listen to him, yeah, Yeah, if they get more Oliver Mize in place sooner, they'll definitely get more test results, and Oliver Mize will shut down.
What a good character.
He's a good character. I like him. Because he's honest and objective about that shit, and not afraid to just shoot it straight. He's like a fresh out of the academy guy like that. So yeah, and like I said, it sucks that happens with the Diablos Ex Machina. So speaking of mecha, as we have been the entire time, let's rate these flawed but yet awesome prototypes, right? So go ahead and give me your ranking here if you need help remembering all of them.
No, we're talking about prototypes. Well,
all of them.
Yeah, number one's got to be the Hildoffer. I've been talking about it all night.
Okay, so you're going with the Hildoffer at number one.
Talk about just specifically failed prototypes.
Yeah, and really anything we see that's mecha, that wasn't successful. So Nozaki.
You know what? I really like the ball units because I think if they made like
those aren't prototypes.
Or not the ball units, the Ogos.
Oh, Ogos. Okay.
Yeah, if they would have just like maybe stumbled across that sooner and made like 200 bajillion of them and just started taking the World War II Russian style approach and just start throwing people, maybe they would have a chance.
I think you're onto something, sir. I think you're onto something. I really do. I think you're onto something there. I think they might have actually been able to do, especially with more big rangs.
Yeah,
to service them and reload them.
Oh yeah, with the big. Oh yeah, make some big. That's actually
Get 3 big rangs together and just roll up on them with like a couple thousand no-goes, and then you have 3 fucking beam shields all working in tandem.
And then keep like your elite pilots in mobile suits to kind of protect them, in the perimeters and stuff.
Defensive line makes sense. And wouldn't a Gundam RTS be great? See, why haven't you made that yet, Bandai?
Dude, I would play that.
I would too. I would play it into the goddamn ground. So, but no, you're right. I think so. You're going with the Ogo number 1.
Yeah, Hildoffer number 2, then Zuda,
and then the Zuda number 3.
Yeah.
Well, you still have the Yormgond, which is the giant gun, the gun tank, and then the ZE Gok.
Those are all just tear bottom of the barrel.
So just you're going to tie them all for
last place? Yeah. They sucked.
All right. Well, I'm gonna do it quite differently here. I'm gonna approach it from the bottom up. Right. Number 6, the bottom one for me is the Zuda. And that's because it's a literal death trap, and it's also just a tool for propaganda, which I loathe propaganda more than anything else. So, it has a special place for, just dislike in my particular palette for things like that. So, number 5 is obviously the ZE Gok and the mobile diver, because it's suicidally impractical, which is exactly what it says in my notes, minus the f***ing. So, number 4 for me, actually, is the Ogo, and that's because it works, and it works really well, but it's still just a fucking little pod. You know what I mean? They strap some guns too, and I think you're right. If they did the Russian thing and just lemminged them to death, just throw his.
It worked.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they threw a kajillion tanks, and if the dudes behind them, the guys in front die, hey, go pick up a rifle. You go pick up a rifle. You go get in tank. You are trained.
Yeah, desperate times, man.
I mean, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. And Hitler was definitely a hell of a threat. Mustache man, I should say. So yeah, and the Ogo, like I said, it's very practical, but it's lacking in any sort of real deal thing outside of just overwhelming people with them. It was clearly superior to the ball, being able to lead the ball away and having the arm turn around and shoot it while it's running away like that. Definitely superior to the ball. The ball can't rotate its top. Some of them can a little bit, but not 360 like that. Not in this era, at least yet. There are many variations of the ball, many balls to come, which is kind of funny to say. Anyway. Number 3, moving on to the Jormungand, right? Very strong, very, very strong, very high potential, very good actual piece of artillery. And the problem is, it's useless without a spotter because of Minovsky particles. Because Minovsky particles make it impossible to target anything at range with computer technology. And in space, motherfuckers are way over there. You know what I mean? Way over there. And you want to shoot them before they shoot you. That fact of war hasn't changed, right? You still shoot them before they shoot you. So that's what the thinking was behind this. And I don't think this was a bad idea. I think they were just caught up in the old ways, right? Like I said, the old guard before it changed hands to mobile suits. But the Jormungand is actually, when we see it work and when we see, Homeboy actually get that final shot off and cook that ship inside out like it did before it exploded, if directed correctly with a crew, you got to think the potential of that thing is really good, especially if they could line all those up like as a defensive perimeter, those battleships would think twice before getting into range with some sort of like on base surveillance support with like, you know, up front spotters with like cameras on like asteroids like rotating around the base or whatever. So put in the right position, the Ormgon could totally succeed and would actually maybe even prove like an interesting long range defense type of system.
Like a stationary weapon,
Right. Like an anti-aircraft gun sort of a situation, something like that. I think it has great practicality there, but the way that they tried to implement it here, I think, was very stupid. They just sort of like, well, and again, it's because they didn't give a shit about it. They sort of just rolled up on this battlefield and were like, here you go, use it. See if it works. And meanwhile, Char just shows up like 5 seconds later after it breaks apart, and this guy barely survives and just goes and dunks on people and has no problem at all. Meanwhile, like this hard-ass man is over here dying a man's death just trying to get one shot off to save his ship to get away. P.S. Nobody cares. Like they just, governmental incompetence, nobody gives a And it's sad that nobody cared about that and tried to use that intelligently as like a space defense or space-based defense, or maybe like a fucking battleship cannon. Maybe you make a bigger version of that, put it in the middle of a fucking battleship or something, like Hitler did with the giant, the giant train gun. Remember I showed it to you, the whatever cannon. I can't remember what it's called.
The Gustav cannon.
Yes, you're right, the Gustav cannon. Good call. It's one of the biggest, I think the biggest gun that's ever been made, right? Like, that thing was like a mobile artillery pad. He could literally just launch shit on you. If you had train tracks near you, look the out. Because they might be raining giant bullets on your head. And that's exactly, more or less, what this is like an allusion to. Whether it's purposeful or not, doesn't matter. It's totally an allusion to the Gustav cannon. Yeah. Like, either intentionally or otherwise. So, number 2B is the gun tank, okay? And it's miscalibrated, more so when she first gets it, and the brass didn't really like it. It's really the same thing as the Hildolfer, just the Federation equivalent. It's very fast. It has a high amount of firepower, a lower amount of armor because it's not finished. But it's still like a prototype because she's going to die in it, or not. Everybody else but her, which I think is why there's more than one of her, right? So other people can die in the prototype, but she's the lucky one. Final girl. Why didn't I realize that earlier? She's final girl. Huh. Like in slasher movies, there's the girl that survives at the end all the time. Final girl.
That's funny.
Final girl, right? So, but anyway, the gun tank is just like the Hildolfer. But Hildolfer is the only mobile tank. The gun tank, I think, isn't quite the same. It's like an actual mobile suit. The designation is weird for the Hildolfer. But the Hildolfer is the only mobile tank, and that's 2A. 2A is Hildolfer, 2B is gun tank, in that precise order. Because the Hildolfer is clearly superior in almost every way. It's just the fact that these both function super well. That's why I'm basing my off of how functional and how practical they are, right? So, the only mobile tank, it's practical and functional, as I said, miscalibrated and ambushed in his case. So it wasn't even calibrated correctly. They didn't really know what the they were doing with the Hildolfer, and he just showed up and got ambushed by some really badass gangster motherfuckers. Which, did we talk about that already? I can't remember if we did. About that whole scene with him killing him, because that fight is insanely epic. That whole episode is very epic.
Yeah, well, man, one of the best choreographed fight scenes in the entire show. I really enjoyed that. I'm like, looking at the screen like, oh, that shit is so awesome.
Amazing. And that's something, by the way, that we haven't really touched on like too much. The fights in this are pretty goddamn great, and so the animation there is pretty awesome. Because it's the kind of that's suited for a video game, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it looks pretty good.
Facial expressions not needed here, so it's not terrible.
Well, no, and what's his name? Sonnen. He reminds me a lot of like Erwin Rommel, who is another Nazi, who was like the pioneer, who literally pioneered armored warfare, and it took General Patton himself to come into Africa to kick Rommel and his mechanized divisions out of there. And by the way, General Patton was the American pioneer of mechanized warfare. So there was literally like, it's two of the greatest minds in their perspective usages of military equipment facing each other of all time right there. So as far as I know, General Patton, I think, still has the most territory, prisoners captured, kills as a general, more than anybody else, at least as far as I know. Yeah. I could be wrong about that, but like the man captured like a continent's worth, like a plus in territory. Because he was like, hey, I'll just take Africa back. But they had the British down there, and they couldn't do shit about it until we came in with our boys and Patton. Patton just said, get your ass up, we're winning this. And they were like, oh shit, we love this guy. Somebody that talks to us. But anyway, I think that Sonnen is a reference to Erwin Rommel, and that's why this takes place in the desert specifically, because Erwin Rommel was known as the Desert Fox. That was literally his nickname. Yeah. So there's another parallel there to World War II.
Yeah, the Arabian music episode in Arizona. Is that where the tank is? That the tank episode? Yeah. They're in Arizona. Yeah. And then it's like, and then you hear a sitar kick in.
Right. Well, it's the desert, man. You know, like did we get the hawk and the like the screech? You know what I mean?
Probably. I just came to my mind when you're talking about that. It always makes me laugh.
I kind of wonder if we got that. I'm not sure. I didn't really pay attention to that. But yeah, you know, they got to set the scene. Oh, but it's totally the Gobi Desert in Arizona, I think. Like maybe it's the Mojave, right? Isn't that what's there?
Yeah, it's the Mojave, but you would more expect like Wild West music, not Arabian semi-tonal scale music.
True.
Or quarter tone.
Right. No, you're right. You're the same thing, I think. But yeah, so anyway, the Hilldolfer is badass. It's an amazing piece of technology. Bandai, what are you doing with not producing a fucking gunpla kit of that? There's huge boners out there for that. Trust, they would pay money for it. So first, number one, by process of elimination, you probably should have figured out where we're going with this, but number one is clear and obvious that it's the Big Rang, and the Big Rang is clearly the number one thing.
Did I never mentioned the Big Rang.
I thought you said it was number 2.
No, I went I'll go then Hilldolfer. I didn't even include the Big Ring in that because that just didn't even occur to me.
So are you going to move everything else down?
Yeah, the Big Ring, obviously. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say that's the clear move.
But most of my stuff is based on how cool it is.
Okay,
I didn't really like.
You're about the style and the look of it and how cool it is. That's cool. And I'm cool. And I'm about the substance. See, and that's what I mean. We're going to make a nice balance.
Well, I just didn't really give it any thought. I think you had you gave it some thought beforehand.
Plenty. But anyway, okay, so number 1 for me is also the Big Rang. And I kind of like the way we did that because we both reveal our number 1 at the same time. Nice. But I mean, by process of elimination. Anyway, if I can...
so obvious.
So here's the reasons why the Big Rang is number 1, okay? Like, first reason, red. All right, we'll let that breathe. It's the most practical, the most functional, and modified from the Bigro, which I personally absolutely love that mobile armor. It looks retarded, but it's amazing. I love it, like with the claws and the beam cannon on the nose and shit like that. Awesome.
I can't even picture it.
It's what the Bigro's head. Have I seen it? It's what the Bigro's head is.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because it's a Bigro. He even says it. MA06 or something like that. I could be wrong, but anyway, I like that mobile suit anyway. But the concept of it is something that's insanely unique. I don't think and this is something that also really shows up with this anime a lot, right? Where we see these unique concepts, like the mobile diver is certainly unique. It's uniquely stupid in my opinion, but it's still certainly unique, right? The Hilldolfer is the only mobile tank ever been made. The Jormungand was like something that was legendary, or the Jormungand is like an old school, like amazing artillery piece. So even the best of the best basically still is worse than mobile suits is the point of that. Is why they're so powerful, but they still pale in comparison to the mobile suits. But all of that stuff, right, it's still good tech, but none of it at all. Those are all still like regular old ideas. I have never encountered a mobile armor that is based on defense and resupply. And that's the whole point of the Big Rang. It's not meant to go fast. As clearly shown in the anime when Oliver tries to take it like on an offensive and like he gets hit a couple times. He's like, oh, okay, this thing isn't fast. I'm gonna hold back a little bit. Maybe deploy those anti-beam shields that I have. Yeah, and then those work really nice. So like I was saying earlier, and like when we were talking about the Ogo, imagine if you take like 3 of those and you maybe put like, I don't know, 200 Ogos to each one and supply them with that much ammo. Just set them at home. Who's gonna with you? Run up on you with literally 3 giant fucking defensive platforms that can resupply those things? They have beam cannons of their own too, so if anything gets close, kaboom, goodbye. You're vaporized. That sounds like a hell of a defensive like thing to try to get through, right? So imagine if they had that at Abawic or at Solomon, man. Maybe Dozul Zabi doesn't die, and maybe they make more Big Zams too. You know, but too little, too late.
Yeah.
And just at least a little too late here, because there's a lot of the Big Rang, and the Big Rang is just amazing. It just looks cool, honestly. It's kind of weird, but at the same time, it looks really cool, especially for what it's like supposed to be used for. You have any more thoughts on the Big Rang?
Dang, it's pretty cool, man.
It's goddamn amazing.
It's awesome. Really is. It's red.
And I'll tell you this much, like, you guys out there, if you're fans of the channel and stuff, you've then most likely seen the All Suits videos and the rankings I do. If you've seen the Stardust memory ranking that I did, which you can go watch out at any time, it's up there on the channel. I ranked the new 8CL as the #1 thing out of that anime, the giant mobile armor that Gato pilots at the end. And that thing is incredible. I think that the Big Rang stands on the same level as the new 8CL.
Wow,
I really do. It really is. And I love it so much. It's so cool. It's because it's an inventive idea, and we see it work well. So, actually, that reminds me of something that we can... Yeah, which is great, because remember I put thought into this. So, speaking of the Big Rang and how well it worked, right? How successful it was, that we obviously got to see, right? Do you realize, without the Big Rang, being able to defend Field E basically by itself, that the Neo-Zeon forces would have never existed? And that basically is to say that the Delos fleet escapes in that opening in 0083. Okay, they peace out after Abalaku goes down. They are gone forever, and then we get 0083, the Annabelle Gato and Admiral Delos, that fleet. We see it on screen. They show it on screen. And all of the people who would later go on to form the Neo-Zeon Axis in Z Gundam, Haman Karn, the remnants of Zeon that are still there, those people escaped in that. And then all of the Neo-Zeon wars, all the people that Haman Karn would go on to kill, all of those people, including Char, they all escaped through that wall right there that Oliver Mai brought, and Oliver Mai opened for them, and to cover their ass. That Von Kemper or whatever, Von whatever kills himself to make sure that they all get away. Without the Big Rang and all of those people holding that down by themselves, we never get Zeta Gundam, Double Zeta Gundam, or Char's counterattack, because Char dies too.
Damn it, Oscar.
Oliver, you mean?
Oliver.
Still, but that's how important they made that. Okay, and like it's literally Oliver Mai and the Big Rang are the reason that we get those next anime at all. Like, without him doing that at Field E, nobody escapes, and the Federation kills everybody in their bloodlust, dude. Everybody. So Char, Haman Karn, who is just a little girl at the time, and then also who else? I mean, Char and Cassilia. No, she gets killed. But anybody else who's left at all. And Haman Karn basically goes on to create the Neo-Zeon Axis in Z Gundam, and then tries to kill Judo Ashita, who's like just this pirate junker kid who doesn't give a fuck about anything. And it's just like, wait, what? You want to kill me? Oh, okay, cool. he's an interesting character. But then she goes on in like those two different anime, and then Char comes back from the dead after the whole Quattro Vegeta thing and Z Gundam for Char's counterattack. And it's kind of funny though, like one quick aside on that is that in Zeta Gundam, Quattro Vegeta, Char calls himself that, and he's like super chill about it, and Amuro's like still so f***ed up about Lala and Lala's death, because like her force spirit or whatever is inhabiting his mind, and he like imbibed a piece of her when she died in that fight right there at the end. So he's like tortured. And Amuro's like way different and like dark and like brooding. He's like, get the f*** away from me. And Char's like, just chill out, man. The bitch just died, basically. Like, just get over it. Yeah, Lala died. We don't need to fight over it. And Char just won't let it, and Amuro just won't let it go. But then, in Char's counterattack, all these years later, Char comes back and wants to drop a comet on the Earth again. Can you guess why? Because Amuro killed Lala, and that's bullshit. I swear to God. That's exactly how the f*** it works out. That's exactly it. And it's just funny that's what I mean, that all of this shit happens because Oliver Mai says, you guys aren't getting through Field E. These people are leaving. In the Big Rang. So one piece of technology can just all of a sudden make some old new shit up that nobody ever thought even existed. Wait, beam weapons don't work on it? What? Huh? How do we hit that thing from range? Good luck. You gotta get up close, and then when you get up close, it's vaporized time. Right out of the nose, bitch. So it's like it's just interesting. This is what Gundam does all the time with like one piece of technology that goes on to revolutionize like so many other things. Like I said, it parallels real life like that. When they had first invented the jet engine, right? The Germans, the Nazis, when they first made the, God damn it, I can't remember what the name of it is. The Messerschmitt Me-262. Very first jet plane ever made, right? Nazis did that. And it sucks for them, because yes, they revolutionized air combat, but can you guess what? It was too little, too late, my friend. Too little, too late. So, any thoughts about that?
About all the Gundam. I don't really know anything about those Gundams. I haven't watched them yet.
How important did you realize how important the big?
Oh yeah, for the E-Field. Yeah, I didn't know. Not the time of watching it. No, I didn't really make that connection at all.
Well, and that's another fun Easter egg there. That literally Oliver Mai is the best boy of Zeon and all. Literally all of the Neo Zeon remnants owe their ass to Oliver Mai and the 603rd Tactical Evaluation Unit.
Yeah, wow. Sounds like he should be analyzed by them.
They kick him out. If you remember, he says he leaves. He gets discharged. They discharge him, and he even says Zeon goes on, and boy did it ever. As I just explained, I would just, even if it's a different flag, but it's weird how the ending goes. So moving on. What do you think of the voice acting?
They're speaking Japanese, so I don't really think anything of it, I guess.
Fair enough. And okay, I've really tried to analyze this, and I think they're doing at least a decent job. It's not shit to write home about, but I mean the emotion's there. You can feel it. Some of them are annoying, and some of it's kind of cheesy, but it's fucking a 2000s Gundam thing, right? If you come here expecting this weird all one-off side story to give you the fucking top tier voice acting, I think you came to the wrong place, dude. Because like I said, this is Xavier Renegade Gundam with a great story if you are a Gundam fan. Otherwise, it's fucking stupid and you won't like it. So, but like I said, I'm right there with you. It's a push for me. It's Japanese. I don't really understand it. Number one, but number two, it sounds like there's emotion there.
There's no way for me to really know if it's good or bad voice acting unless somebody is screaming too much or something.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Sometimes it's cheesy with the B movie acting, but they love that shit there, and so do we, to be fair. But anyway, so next up, internal deconstruction, right? So another brilliant theme going on here is the deconstruction of the super prototype trope, right? Which Gundam is quite literally built on, right? Gundam is a super prototype, right? Something that just comes out of nowhere and solves all the goddamn problems. It's the most amazing thing. It revolutionizes whatever. Mobile suits are a super prototype in themselves. But this deconstructs it, right? Because it showcases how it's not so fucking easy to make anything that revolutionizes our understanding of a given concept or field, what does it say? Like war or even something like cooking. So it really puts that on display, and Oliver even says, hey, sometimes it's hard to really fucking actually design something and really sit down and look at it like this and actually see it through to the end. And they talk about that constantly in this, and it really sort of deconstructs that super prototype thing that's always happening in Gundam, where they're like, ha ha ha, we 5 scientists have made a new prototype, ha 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 ha,
yeah.
Your is now obsolete, ha ha ha.
Yeah, it's always an arms race in every series.
And everybody's products and projects always succeed, they're always perfectly well developed, and this deconstructs the shit out of that in a very smart way, and does it with a ton of emotion involved around it too. And that's what I said. That's what I meant earlier by I'm going to pull some shit out on you in this one. And this is something that I saw in TV tropes. It didn't click in my head until I was like, oh, wow, but that makes so much sense. Because Oliver Mai is literally the embodiment of St. Jude, who is the patron of lost saints, or the patron of lost causes. Patron saint of lost causes, I should say. And because he is clearly just obviously always saddled with a lost cause, always. They just don't give a shit. Here you go. Have fun. Sorry to dump this on you, but see ya. Hope you don't die. So what do you think about the deconstruction of the super prototype trope in this?
Yeah, we see a lot of massive failures. Yeah, so instead of it's like an arms race, but it's they fail every step of the way.
It's realistically an arms race.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to always make the right roll. You're going to up, and especially when your government is what?
Yeah, incompetent. And then think about World War II Germany, they tried all kinds of weird dumb shit that didn't really work.
Just like this.
Yeah.
And it was all too little too fucking late. They still fucking, you see how hard it fucking adheres to it?
I'm picturing in my head that floating bell thing they were trying to do or something. They had some weird experiments going on.
I might look it up and put it on the screen if I can find it.
Yeah, it's like the Nazi floating bell or something. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen it.
I'm aware of quite a bit. I mean, they pretty much, I think they pioneered thermal vision, submarine tiles that allow the ship to actually exist underwater but not actually absorb a ton of water. All sorts of shit, dude. There was laser technology they had, and then the guns. They revolutionized tanks. They basically started that shit jet engine. No big deal there. You know what I mean? But some of the time they hit. But most of the time, especially once Hitler lost his mind and became governmentally incompetent. They were like, yes, I like that program too. Oh, yes, I like that too. I like that too. And he was like devolved mentally from all the drogas, all the drugs in his system.
Drugs are bad.
They are kids. Don't do drugs or drink. Don't be like me. But the Hitler literally lost his mind and kept forgetting that he was okaying these programs. So anybody was like, yeah, hey, let me make a gun. And he was like, oh, it sounds good. Hi, see Kyle. See you later. Pretty much, here's your money. But you're right. I mean, and governmental incompetence, man. And that's what they really do a good job. The people that made this knew what the f was going on, quite literally, and did their homework. So it's interesting. I think just a fun little thing there. Is there anything else you wanna add to that?
No.
Okay, fair enough. Furthermore, it is just one more parallel that Zeon shares with the Nazis. They also had a slew of prototypes that never saw daylight or went completely unfinished, that drained them completely and left them unable to actually pour the capital into the things that really mattered. Yeah. So they lost.
Like 200,000 Hildoffers.
And I mean, like, hey, that Gundam there kind of like didn't help things either, you know what I mean?
So how many Hildoffers can we make with one Zagok prototype test? The atmospheric re-entry bullshit.
Oh, you mean the money that they wasted on that? Oh, God, yeah, a bunch. It would have to be.
But for one mission, they probably make like 10 Hildoffers.
I don't know. I don't really know how, like, we don't really get the financials of it all, but I imagine, I don't know, I imagine the ZEGOC is probably cheaper until you get into, like, multiple missions and have to spend all that much money on ordnance.
Yeah, on this thing that you drop and don't get back or reclaim at all.
Maybe. Well, no, you're supposed to retrieve it, but I mean, like, in terms of the fuel to get down there, the fuel to get back up. So there's a lot of stuff going in there that would actually cost money. So the financials of that are
damn you, Minovsky's particles. We either shoot up our atmosphere or
something like that. But no, Minovsky particles, bitch.
So we gotta drop this giant mobile suit down to try to kill it.
So what did you say? What was the thing about governments that you were gonna say? That quote that you had?
Oh, corruption breeds incompetence.
And there you go. And that's something that really comes right straight up from the top of Zeon. The Zabi family was corrupt beyond reason. And right about there, I think we're going to take a little short break here because we need refills and bathroom breaks. So we'll be right back. For you guys, it'll be like 2 seconds. Remember to like and subscribe. We love you. Bye-bye.
Flash.
So, what's wrong with this, right? I know I've sat here and, sort of like, clapped like a stupid circus seal, over and over again about how good this is. And again, my bias is totally showing on this one, I think, and I'm not afraid of that, and I admit and stand up next to that and put my name on it all day long. And the reason why I do that is because this is straight up made for somebody like me who's way into the history like this and all of the goofy little connections. But for somebody on the outside, it may not be so easy to grasp. And that is one example of something that we are going to talk about in this next segment here, which is what's wrong with this shit? What's going on here? Why doesn't this work, right? Okay. And I think so some continuity things I particularly wanted to point out here. Okay, when and where again do these briefings happen between him and this officer?
Yeah.
How does he get there? When and where? Huh? And sometimes the way that they show it, it's like, oh, okay, hey, we didn't get killed in this battle. All right, cool. Let's go back. And then fade to him walking up to the guy who gives him his missions, his lost cause missions, right? When and where do those happen? I really don't get that. Like, is anybody out there in the comments, like, please feel free to try to tell me, like, is there something in the Japanese that I'm missing here that isn't coming through in the sub or something like that? Is my round eye holding me back from understanding this shit? Please help me out. If you can help me, like, maybe shine a little extra light on this, I'd really actually like to know. Because it's strange for this anime, which does so much like continuity, I don't know, just like obsession. You know what I mean? It's so obsessed with its continuity that it has to adhere to everything. And I know mistakes happen sometimes, but it's just odd that they don't really ever deal with that. It's just like, oh, okay, they fly away. Oh, whoop, next scene, he's walking into the office. Oh, okay, he's out. All right, cool, he's testing it. You know what I mean? And that's like a really quick relay and handoff really fast. All right, go here, get your exposition. All right, get out there and test it. You know what I mean? Like, then they don't have time, I guess, to handle all of that, and they just sort of like, leave that boring part. Like, I guess what's happening then? Is Oliver Mai like sleeping, between travel? Yeah. Maybe it's such a long period of time between there that, we don't get to actually know because it takes forever to travel in space.
Oh, well, I mean, some of the stuff does kind of take place pretty far apart, so I guess I had to assume sometime between then it happens.
Right.
But yeah, in my imagination, it's just like they do the mission and then they just keep going back to resupply. But they don't mention it. I think one time he mentions it because he's in a good mood and he talks about how he's going to go resupply or whatever. Yeah. But then some of that stuff does take place pretty far apart now that I think about it. So
it's just a weird thing, like to get into the nitty gritty of like the when and the where. You know what I mean? Like there's some peculiar stuff going on there.
This mysterious room that could be in like an extra dimensional space for all we know.
Maybe. Right, because we never actually see where that is. I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe we do get a shot of it. I don't know. I'll look if
it's on
like
the ship.
Why would he be on the ship? Like, where's the sunlight coming from? Why do they have to go orbit the sun to get?
I don't know, man. I'm just spitballing.
You see what I mean? I'm already on that shit. Like, what the f***? That doesn't make sense. Why do they need to go orbit the sun to talk to him? He only wakes up when we're around the sun. And he always gets it.
Oh, he looks like a vampire.
I mean, I guess you're right. He kind of does look freaky in that f***ing, like, weird shader shit. Or that, terrible visual
PS1
stuff.
shaders.
Oh, it's bad. With, like, PS2 models and stuff. They figure it out more, like I said, in the second OVA, third OVA, actually. Anyway, Gravity Front. But, okay, so beyond that, sometimes the scale is off in that Arizona video. It's for, like, maybe a couple of seconds, but the way that they show the base, right? The way that the base, and I'll put it up here. It's like, I think maybe just one shot, and I think they get it right the other times, but it's either the angle is wrong on the camera, like the way it's presented and the perspective is wrong, so the depth of field isn't working the right way, or the fucking camp is too big, or the mobile suit is too small, but the fucking mobile suit looks like it's bigger than the entire goddamn camp in like one shot. It's there for a little while, and I can't remember if it's the first time. I think it might be the first time we ever see it. Like in that episode, right when those fake Zaku's show up and fucking murk the first unit of dipshits that fucking drop from space. Oh, hey, nice to see you, man. Oh, yeah, hey, look up there. Look, there's the shuttle. Oh, hey, you know a lot. Bang, bang, bang. It's so fucking dumb, dude. Like, I love it. But that, like, adds to that group of that I'm telling you, I forget what his name is. I'm not even sure if we get it, but the eye patch guy, he's like Solid Snake level badass. Like they go, as soon as you see him, he's got like a eye patch, and like his insignia on the side of his helmet is like a skull and shit. So with the eye patches on the skull, and that's like his unit, so immediately, oh shit.
Yeah, he's hard.
That's the leader too, because the unit patch is him with a skull on it. Like, oh Jesus Christ, he's hard as fuck, son. And that's what I thought, like, today when I was watching it, like, just trying to pay attention to the goofy shit. Like, oh my god, like, damn, like, they are not playing around at all. Immediately this motherfucker means business. Look, he's got he'll fight to the death, basically, is what their patch means. Right in your face. On his helmet, right? So it's just, in that particular episode, though, that one shot, the scale is off, and it looks strange. And like I said, it makes it look like one Zaku 2 is bigger than an entire f***ing supply depot.
I guess I never knew this.
It's odd. It's only really quick. Again, I watched it a lot, man. had a lot of time over this 4 months to gather a lot of this stuff, and I really just puked it out onto paper. Chick, if you could actually see this, it really is like puked it out on paper. It really is. It's pretty bad. Have fun reading my chicken scratch as well. So, is there any other thoughts you had about the scale, or did you notice any scale?
I'm trying to imagine a scene. I can't.
Let's see. I think otherwise, other than that, which is nitpicky, I will admit, but it's there, and I'm telling you, you'll see it. I'll put it up. Like I'll have put it up before, because I will also edit this because that's how it goes around here. But I think in just that one scene, it's off. But otherwise, they do a fantastic job of it. They really do. It's really not bad at all. And in fact, in most cases, it's pretty good, actually. The scale is actually really hammered out really well, especially in Gravity Front, for sure.
Yeah, one thing I want to add to that is the whole point of using CGI is to show like how gargantuan things can be, and like it portrays it better than this traditional 2D animation.
Right.
That's probably what they were thinking when they wanted to shift a Gundam universe in a like 3D world, was like they can make big stuff look bigger. Right. So and they did an especially good job of this in the third series, actually, in the third OVA. Yeah, they took like with the Zaku's dropping down, like the enormity of them, and they did a really good job with that, because they would use these like really crazy camera angles and stuff to kind of show that perspective, and the guy getting stepped on
and all of that. Yes, and we will definitely delve deeper. That's one of the last things I wanted to say for last, just because of how beautifully done that is. It's it proves how good of a director this Takashi Imani. I hope I remembered your name correctly. I'm like 3 Coronas in right now, so if we're feeling well, we're in the pocket. But anyway, so no, but you're right, and the scale is done right most of the time, and that's one such example. But so now we're going to come to the absolute biggest issue, and I more or less directly foreshadowed it at the beginning of this section. And this is I think the biggest issue, more so than the visuals. I think a lot of people could get around the visuals, right? But that you have to give a whole lot of about Gundam and the Gundam universe and the Gundam timeline to even understand what the is happening here. It is presuppositional, okay, in the fact that you know the material. All right, and they give you like the quick rundown at the beginning, and then kaboom, we're off. We're in the middle of the fucking 1-year war. Have fun. Nothing else. You don't know why you should care about some of these events. You don't know who the was in that red mobile suit. If you don't know anything about Gundam, you don't know who the is in that red mobile suit. You don't know who Char Azzle is. You don't know who any of these people are. You know what I mean? It's just like a bunch of references to a bunch of people from a university you have no understanding of. And you're just like, okay, why should I care about this guy? And you're right. You're right. Like they throw a lot of that, and to you, and in a way, it's kind of member berries in a way. But I think that they do a much better job than just, oh yeah, you remember this. No, they actually, oh yeah, you remember this, and check out how much it actually ties into the plot. Like, yeah, if Oliver Mai doesn't actually defend this right, the rest of the anime series stops here. Everybody that's important, all the bad guys that get away and cause all the problems in the future, all escape because of that moment. So it's you don't understand the enormity or like the gravity of that, right? The actual stakes there, like what the he literally just pulled some miracle out of his ass with some experimental bullshit they literally slapped together and said, "Here you go, dumbass. Have good luck with that." And he turned it into like this amazing piece of technology and covered their ass with it. So it's just this. But you don't understand how all that works, and that matters if you don't understand Gundam at all, and that's the problem. Is that you need that, right? It's Zach has heard me say this a bunch of times before, but I don't think I've talked about it enough ever at all. But just like the Star Wars prequels,
oh no, here we go.
It presupposes that you understand all this bullshit that you don't ever actually see. You're told about it, but you never actually see it happen, right? Like Anakin and Qui-Gon's friendship, we're just told that they're these great friends in the older stuff, right? Like Obi-Wan literally is like, I was a great friend of your father in the Clone Wars, and then like, and smash cut to them in the elevator arguing over stupid bullshit. Him being like this insolent little piece of shit, and Obi-Wan being like, why the won't you listen to me, like all the time? It's contentious as dude. So what, old Ben Kenobi was a goddamn liar, basically? Wanted to tell Luke something? Like, it's weird to have that set up like that. For them to know that continuity existed before, but then when they get their hands on it, they flub it. You know what I mean? They don't actually set it up right. It doesn't make sense. That Obi-Wan would say, yeah, he was a great friend. That sucks. You know what I mean? Like, what? Like, you guys hated each other? Like, you guys are always at each other's throats and shit. The whole reason you turn into Darth Vader anyway is because you think he's your bitch, and you show up and try to kill him, and you get dunked on because you're not as good as you think you are.
Yeah. So
you lose your body, you arrogant little shithead. And I'm telling you, dude, like, it's so weird for him to be like, he was a good friend. Like, what? You remember when he killed those children, you motherfucker? What, huh? And it makes no sense. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this does the exact opposite of that. It looks ahead to its continuity, and it's like, how do we make this work? How do we make this fit? Let's do this in a way that makes sense. And they did. And not only did they do that, but they showed like the background to how mobile suits became the dominant technology in war. It literally is the ultimate backstory for the ultimate Gundam nerd that wants to know, how did the technology actually switch around? Well, bitch, here you go. MS IGLOO. MS IGLOO, to be exact. That's exactly the whole point of this, and they do a genius job, I think, of fitting it into the continuity, like, perfectly. And like I said, even undoing some wrongs that didn't make sense before this came along, like the gun tank just disappearing in the movie trilogy, like, out of nowhere. Like, it's so unceremoniously just gone. But now we know why, because Homeboy handed the plans over, and they weren't about to put their people in trouble, right? So, like I said, you get that out of it if you actually know what the you're watching. But if it's somebody like you, or the other person that you watched it with, and things like that. Like, I bet you if my girlfriend and I sat down and watched this, she would just be like, why do you like this? What is wrong? I don't understand this. She knows I like Gundam, but she would be like, why do you even like this?
Yeah, if it wasn't for watching the movie trilogy plus the Stardust Memories, any other ones, I probably wouldn't know anything Jack Squad about it at all. Like, I just have a thing. Yeah, I got the bare minimum knowledge to kind of understand it, but that's it.
To more or less grasp it. I'm educating you as we go here. But the thing is that that's true. Then that's it's like Trailer Park Boys, kind of, right? Yeah, I can't believe I'm making this corollary. It just hit me in the head. Trailer Park Boys isn't, like, funny until season 2, right? You have to know the people in Trailer Park Boys before you get all the jokes in Trailer Park Boys, right? And it's the same way kind of in Gundam. I can't believe this works like this, but it's so true. The more about the history you know, which is why starting it from, like, season 1, right, the trilogy, like the original season and stuff, that's season 1. Starting it from there is the best for you, because then once you understand the history, you'll be like, oh, that's what happened to this. Oh, God, oh, no, a clone? What the? Huh? You know what I mean? Like, all sorts of other crazy bullshit. It's like Star Wars, like that. The further you get along, and it's like Trailer Park Boys becomes more funny as you understand the characters, as you understand, like, the geopolitical plotting and the technological advancing of everything. It's very militaristic. And diplomacy shows up, and also crazy mysticism. Wait till we get to Turn A, dude. Holy shit. Turn A is a blast. And it's ape shit crazy. Tomino wanted to have a female protagonist for Turn A, but Sunrise wouldn't let him, because the young male protagonist, the shonen shit, was such a heavy draw for them. They're like, don't you change that. Don't you do it. We got a bunch of money wrapped up in this. You motherfucking don't do it. So what did Tomino do? He puts he creates Laura Rolla, who is Loran Sahak, who is a man, but Laura Rolla is a drag queen. And he shows up to, like, this ball, like, in complete drag, and, like, dressed up. It's amazing. We'll get there eventually. Turn A is wild as fuck, dude. Turn A also tried to unite all of the canons together, and very, very ill-advisedly. It ruins the continuity if you look at it like that. Turn A is wild. Like I said, it's a whole other ball game, and trust and believe, we'll get there. It's a big one, but we'll get there. We'll probably do season 1, season 2 of it, because it's a big one. They're all. It's like Mobile Fighter, I think. I think it's on that level. So anyway, moving on from that, like I said, you don't understand how good this is. This sucks if you don't know what Gundam is, and that's a big problem, right? Because you have to have watched a bunch of other shit. Like, oh hey, MS IGLOO, I've never heard of that. Huh, I like Gundam. What's this about? Otherwise, you're gonna be like, why do I care? So what?
Hey, I mean, it's red.
Right? Red mobile suit, go fast, vroom vroom.
Well, yeah, you don't need to know Gundam to know that red is fast.
No, you just need to know Warhammer, too. I mean, because that's
Warhammer, yeah.
I mean, anything that orcs paint Warhammer, if they paint it red, it just immediately goes faster.
Yeah, I think it's like that in real life. Like, right now, you're very fast.
Yeah, dude. Always. Always. These are fast, too, because there's red involved. But, okay, so that's, like I said, do you think that's the biggest issue? Or do you think that the visuals outweigh that? I think this is an interesting question.
Oh, wow.
I think it's down to the heart of it.
Yeah, I guess this will depend on what generation you're from, whether or not you're like a young generation,
Fair
or
enough.
if you're anybody our age or older who's already used to seeing
things like this.
CGI
on this level.
Oh my gosh, yeah, or like Jimmy Neutron, I guess.
Yeah,
you look back on that, it's
and you know what?
It hurts.
You know what? Bad. No, you know what? I think by saying that, that's something I didn't think of, but you're totally right about that, right? So either way you slice it, this is niche, right? This is very niche. Like, you have to love that visual style and be like a super Gundam fan. And I think that's such a small cross section of human beings, you know what I mean? Very few people fit into all those categories. I'll deal with it because I just love military tech and Gundam like that. But, God, it was terrible sometimes to look at. And I mean, like, this last time when I watched it today, there were times where, like, it was totally serious, and I just couldn't help but be like,
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I guess it's easy to look past, but it's pretty funny. Anytime.
It has the beef cheese going on.
Yeah, anytime a commander, like, is frustrated with something and he looks like he's about to shit himself, that face, he's like...
Yeah, or like when the when Sonnen like misses his obvious drugs that he calls mints. By the way, those aren't.
Yeah, you want a mint?
Yes, those aren't mints, you guys. Those are drugs.
What are they? Are they drugs?
They
never say
have to
they're
be.
drugs.
Of course, they don't say they're drugs. But it's
He's
pretty
violently
obvious.
shaking.
So, okay, yes. I was gonna say, remember what happened when he didn't get his dose when he fell over that time, and he got up and he was like violently shaking, and I guarantee you that's probably like either an antipsychotic for his PTSD, or it might be something to steady his nerves because he has such a long history of like these things, and he's literally, well, he's the tank guy, right? He does that, so his hands are probably going to shake from holding that gun and shooting it so many times. He's an instructor, right? I think that might be why that's like that. But I don't know, it could be something to stabilize his nerves and stuff, like a neurological thing. Muscle relaxer, right?
Yeah, or crack.
Or just straight up like fentanyl.
Yeah.
Banging.
Banging that not taking out a whole unit of Zaku's.
No problem, got it. Just drugged out of his head. Well, remember it too, they show when he goes the way of Old Yeller, my friend. They show the little checks, or the little what is it? God, what are they called? Remember the little the neck candy, you could pull them up, and Pez dispenser. Yep, you're right. The little Pez dispenser that he has for his drugs, right? They show him like next to it, and there's a pill there, like while he's dying and stuff. So it's almost like it's implied that earlier too that he might die because he shakes like that when he doesn't get his medicine. So it may be something like even diazepam. That's both an antipsychotic and would sort of like stop that shaking. So who knows? Either way, antipsychotics, my friend.
Well, they never said. I mean, they could still be mints, though. That's what they said.
I don't think so.
That's what he said. He said they were mints.
Yeah, he said a lot of things. He really did. I don't believe him unless we're talking about tanks. If we're talking about tanks, I believe the out of him because that dude knows what's going on with tanks, and he's got a German name. Good enough for me. Good enough for me.
Yeah.
And I saw it. You all saw it with your own eyes. Like, I'll throw that up here and I'll fight Bandai and the copyright. Boy, we ready. But beyond that, like I said, I think that you really need to care about it. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. Like, you really need to know about it. And I think if we didn't watch, like you said earlier, if we didn't watch this before, we didn't watch all the movie trilogy, 0083, we watched 0082, all that leads up more or less. Well, 0080 actually happens after this. So does obviously 0083, but since you watched a little bit of that, you know a little bit about the before and the after with 0083, because without Oliver Mine, that fucking 0083 never happens. Gee, the Delos fleet never goes anywhere because the feds kill everybody in their bloodlust like that at the end, and it's clearly shown that they were like, you dropped a colony on us, we're about to kill all of you. Every single person here is about to die. Like I said, they're not playing fucking games in this anime at all. Pulling all the dirty tricks to get you on the emotional manipulation and killing everybody at the end. Everybody must die. I mean, to be fair, a colony drop, holy shit.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
That's the next level shit. That's a whole colony. They killed all the people involved too. I mean, so
go in there and strap a bunch of nuclear engines on it.
Right.
And send it to
if you don't know about that already from having that drilled into your head in that movie, you don't know that the colony drop even exists, right? So you understand.
I know it's Side 2.
Yes, you do, and that's the thing. That now you get more details about it because they're literally like, "Hey, bitch, get out of the way!" It's from this. I think they even named the division, maybe even like the actual unit. They're like, "Hey, there's a message from this unit," and they're like, "Oh, what unit? Oh, answer that right now." And they're like, "Get the fuck out of the way! You're in the area of our operation. We advise that you evacuate immediately." And they were just like, "Oh," and they just barely got past the giant colony that they were dropping on the goddamn Earth. So, but if you don't know about that, the impact is gone, right? You're just like, oh shit, they're dropping that on Earth? Well, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that scene is like meaningless then.
Right, you see what I mean? So without that backing, right, and that's the problem that the prequels run into, is that they presuppose that you read the novels. Because the novels do actually account for those things. It does actually tell the story of Anakin and Obi-Wan's friendship. It just so happens that Clone Wars episode starts when their friendship really starts to fall apart, and it's gotten to a point where they really just can't stand being around each other, which is what eventually leads into Darth Vader. Well, we don't get that on the screen, and that's the problem, is if we just see it in the movie, huh? What? I need to read something else to understand this? No, that's not, and most people aren't going to like that, and that's reasonable. So that's why you have to be like a super Gundam nerd for this to work. Otherwise, it fails on its face, and it's ugly at the same time while it's failing.
Very ugly.
So, not a good mix. That's why a lot of people don't like this, right? So I get that. So moving on from that, unless you have any thoughts on it? Okay.
No.
How accurate was their portrayal of propaganda?
Yeah, every time it came up, it reminded me of like Stormtroopers or Star Troopers.
Right, Star Troopers.
You guys, Star Wars.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I said a bad word.
That's fine. I see the word right there. We're throwing the bad words out again. You want to see those bad words? Go to Rumble. Hear those bad words also.
It reminded me of that though, and I enjoyed it. The Zuda propaganda ad.
It was amazing. Well, and furthermore, there's a lot of it in Gravity Front 2. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of propaganda. And just in the sense of like all the stuff that they hear, and I mean, especially at the end, like all the stuff that general, I mean, instead of us getting like the actual broadcast in Gravity Front, that general lays down a lot of propaganda. Hey, listen, man, just go out there and do what you have to do. Lost causes. Saddling people with lost causes, right? Never ends. Do the same thing. It's going to keep coming back. But that propaganda, I think you're so right. It's so fucking dead on. It's perfectly like some World War II propaganda, even in like it's like black and white on some like ass projector. Even though they're in the future and they have spaceships and shit, but it's still terrible.
I immediately think of the Star Troopers part where it's like, I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part too.
They're doing their part. Are you?
Right? Yeah. Are you? Right, yeah. Yeah, no, like then that homeless guy who like just steps on a bug and like the camera pans in on his face. The only good bug's a dead bug, right? And it's just great, dude. Starship Troopers is a great movie, great satire, and that's exactly what's happening here too. They're sending up that governmental bullshit. This is a deconstruction of that, but you don't know that without the Gundam. So, but the propaganda is great though. I think, and like I said, it's in black and white. It looks like some old Mickey Mouse cartoons. And
Yeah, these guys got giant robots. What
right,
the heck?
well, they just can't figure out color TV. You know what I mean?
They got the Technicolor.
Right, well, boy, they can paint their mobile suits, but not their media. So that's just great. It's just one thing I wanted to bring up. And by the way, this is another thing that feeds into that governmental incompetence, that corruption breeds incompetence thing. Propaganda is pretty much like one of the highest forms of corruption, especially propaganda that's meant to like actually confuse people and mislead people. And warnings as a warning to governments out there that like to do that propaganda stuff. The more of that you engage in, the more you might rile up your population. The more they might not like that. The whole being lied to thing. Some people don't appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mean, just check out the Earth Federation. They were actually telling the truth in their version of the propaganda. Remember, they were like, "Oh, it got beat up by the Zaku 1, and it's no different. Oh, that's cute." And it had like the Zaku 1 and like the chibi. That's You know what? Man? I just realized. You know what? I just realized. Speaking of chibi, this is the only acceptable use of chibi in Gundam that I will ever permit. Right here. This is it, and it's just because it's making fun of both of them, and it's like this tongue-in-cheek, like troll shit. They're telling the truth, but they're also trolling the shit out of them at the same time.
Well, I think the Zuda looked cool as heck.
The Zuda, the Zuda was an awesome mobile suit. It looks pretty good, man. I will give you that. A lot of these, man, I like the way a lot of this stuff works. I even think the Jormungandr looks great. The Jormungandr looks great. That big cannon, the way it fires in with all of those different like canisters, increasing it like some magnetic beam cannon is awesome. It's an interesting design. But the one design flaw it has, I do believe, is that the cockpit and the operations area is literally exposed to space, which is why you put it in a turret or something, man. You got a battleship defense, anti-battleship gun, an anti-aircraft gun. How about an anti-battleship? That's what that is. But they didn't care about it, and they were so dick hard for mobile suits, right? So it didn't matter, because mobile suits just outclassed it, even though there were practical applications, which is why I ranked it so high. Because goddamn, what a good piece of equipment, you know. But like, you know, I think it's in agreement. I think the entire internet also agrees with us that the ZE Gok plus the mobile diver Not a good look, dude. Not a good look. And I love the Marine mobile suits. I really do. There's a lot of them. I like the original Z-Gok, not the ZE-Gok. There's a difference. There's actually a distinction. So it's just crazy. You know what I mean? Like all the stupid shit that goes on.
I wonder why I thought the subtitles were just messed up, and like because it would say Z-Gok, and then it had like the ZE on one, and I thought it was like a subtitle mess up.
That's a direct distinction. It's not an actual Z-Gok, right? It's not the actual model itself. The difference is that, as you notice, number one, it doesn't have legs. It's just affixed to that giant fuselage that carries fucking weapons. Like, what the anyway?
That giant target.
It just has its arms, right? Like, just like some opposable arms, or depending upon whatever else they want to, like, outfit it for. So it's the ZE-Gok instead, because it doesn't have legs and it's specifically fitted to go with the mobile diver system. Stupid as
Yeah, I like how it's diving still.
Yeah,
it's diving in the atmosphere instead of the water.
Atmosphere. Well, that's the thing that they also push. This is a theme that they also push, is that space is the ocean.
Yeah.
With the whole, they're drowning in the ocean of space. They say about those Zaku's and to get shot down because they're not space Zaku's. They're f***ing ground type Zaku's, so they're not outfitted for space. Which is why they don't work properly, and they just flop around like a fucking magic carp and shit while they're in space, because it's a fish out of water, quite literally. So they're easy targets, and I think they even say that, we gotta save them, they're drowning in the ocean of space, or something like that.
Yeah.
So they go pretty far to throw that in, but yeah, I think the propaganda, and you know what, another really big problem here with this anime specifically is, do you have any other thoughts about propaganda before I move on?
No.
Okay, good. One big problem, right, that no matter how much you like Gundam, no matter how much you like this art style, right? Well, I guess this is only a problem if you know. This is going to be the big problem if you like Gundam. We know how it ends, okay? We know what's going on here. We know who's going to win this war before it ever starts. We know what happens already, right? Yeah. And that takes a lot of the wind out of the sails for some people, right? And I can understand that's a fair criticism. And again, we always like to be fair here on the Weebinar, so I understand you're always going to get that from us no matter what. Money's never going to change that. And at the same time, it's only going to strengthen that. But we know how it ends. We know that Zeon's losing. Like, we know that Zeon's going to get we know they're eating a dirt sandwich.
It's going to be a bad day.
Yeah, and we know that the Gundam is going to do what the Gundam did in that horrifying video of that guy screaming as the Gundam crushed his very being.
That was in the Zuda episode.
Yes, it was. But yeah, but we know how it ends. However, one thing I will say, we know how it ends, and that's a fair criticism. I will say one thing though, it changes the feeling of what we see in a very interesting way, because we already know, like I said, that it's a lost cause, right? St. Jude, lost cause. Patron saint of lost causes all over this. No matter what, it's a doomed mission. It's fool's errand. Zeon is going to lose. You already know that coming in, which is why everything fails. This is like the inside track to exactly what all they wasted their money on. And then them up, and they didn't pay the right attention to the right things. They wasted money on some stupid bullshit, like some mobile diver in the atmosphere. Like I said, they did dumb shit. The obsolescence. This is like just this is really, like I said, even though this is from Zeon's perspective and we're supposed to be rooting for them, this is like a giant, like, haha, this is what these dumbasses did. Look how stupid this is. Before we get to the Federation stuff, which, like I said, that's a big problem, because a lot of people, knowing the ending already, knowing that Oliver is going to lose and they're all going to die anyway, it kind of takes the umph out of it for you. I guess they subvert it though, because Oliver survives, right? Yeah. So
that was the one surprise there. I like that surprise.
Right. That was a good one. It was the opposite of the little kid that they killed the episode before.
Yeah. This was also genius, because they killed this little kid, so you're like, yeah, he's definitely dying. Like, there's no way.
Right.
Like, they killed a little kid.
What I mean, dude? How well thought out is this, dude? This is a good anime, bro. Like, for real. I mean, in terms of, like, its structure and the way it's written and like that, but you just have to... There's some big time, like, you have to knows before you come in. You can't just walk up to MS IGLOO and be like, what the fuck? This is great.
This looks like
Yeah, right? I don't know who cares. Why should I care about these people? Zeon.
Like, those guys are Nazis.
Yes, obvious Nazis. Why? But yeah, like I said, it's just a big problem if you don't know. And it's a big problem if you don't know, and it's a big problem if you do know, and that takes the wind out of your sails. So like I said, we're chopping that very small group of people down to an even smaller little f***ing group of people, you know what I mean, fits in the small palm of our hands. So like I said, this is insanely niche. You have to like the way it looks, or potentially, or either be able to get around the way that it looks. You have to know all this shit about it. Oh, but you might know too much about it. It might be boring. So you gotta be right in the middle of that, like crazy motherfucker person like me who loves this history, just can't get enough of it. So it's like I said, it's another point that I'm trying to hammer home here. This is niche as
Yeah.
it really is. So that really works against it. So like I said, we're being fair. You guys heard me gush about it for a long time, and now we're taking it to the woodshed and telling it what it really needs to know to get better. Because this is what I do.
don't wanna go there,
I'm
no.
just I'm a truthful person. I don't care. I'll say it.
I mean, the woodshed, that sounds like a terrible place to go.
You only had a couple hits out behind the woodshed. It's not much. At least I'm giving a way easier time than some of these fucking reviewers out here, which we'll get into. But so, is there anything else you want to talk about in terms of that big problem that we know it and how it ends?
No, I didn't even think about that, honestly. I guess I've seen enough prequels to like not be bothered by that.
I guess, right?
Yeah.
You and your prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
Well, then mine.
Like, I guess knowing the ending isn't like something that's going to turn me off of something, so I never even
Fair
really
enough.
thought.
Well, it's the same with me, so it doesn't bother me particularly, okay? But it does bother some people out there, and I do understand. Like I said, that's definitely a fair criticism. I got you on that. I heard. I definitely look into the reviews before we talk about this. I always try to do the best goddamn thing by out-researching motherfuckers, and that's clearly what's happened here today. Luckily, I already knew a lot of it, though. But so that's the end of that. So one final thing here before we move on to the second movie, right? Oliver becomes a man once he gets into the big ring. You understand that? That's his glow up moment. That's his get hard moment.
Yeah.
As soon as he plants his ass in the cockpit of that ego and sets it down as on top of the guy, whatever the else that was meant for, that they slap together in like 5 seconds, he immediately is like, I get it now. He even says like holy shit or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but he says holy shit. Like all of these people have gone through all of these different things, and he remembers all of the different prototypes and all the different test pilots that killed themselves just to etch their name in the fucking history books because they love their country, right? They sacrifice their entire life just to be the guy that worked out the Hilldolfer, right? You know what I mean? Or the Jorungaran. Or imagine being the guy that died for the Zeegok in the mobile diver system. I think they did Werner Holbein really dirty in this one, man, because his grandpa lied to him, right? And his grandpa was like some punk-ass lout that actually like just swam away and ended up dying like an old age, like inside 3 hospital bed, right? didn't actually die from the shark like they all thought. And also he dies for the stupidest goddamn project probably ever conceived. It's at least arguable, man. It's between it and the Obsolus, in my opinion. And I think the Obsolus, like, well, just knocks it out of the goddamn park. They just spent way too much money on it. But it's amazing. But there's only one. and the main character of the 8th MS team does what main characters do to villain mobile suits, my friend. So ultimately, it's just a nice big old sinkhole of money on some crazy genius who knows how to design mobile suits, right? That's basically the long and the short of the Obsolus. So it at least has the, I guess, distinction of succeeding and literally destroying battalions worth of shit. We will definitely get there. The 8th MS team, it's good. It's better than all of these so far, for sure. Shiro Amada is an amazing pilot.
Sounds fun.
It's one of the best of the bunch, especially from this year. It's way better than this. As much as I love this as a Dick Hard Gundam fan, like who's a circus seal right now, you know, the 8th MS team is way better. So, what do you think about how Oliver Mai became a man? His right to manhood.
Yeah, he's a man, but I don't know. He might only be the second manliest man in this anime.
Oh well, yeah. We'll definitely talk about Mr. Bradbury. I think I'm saying
Oh yeah, how'd you know?
Oh, because it's pretty obvious. And like I said, we're gonna say that we're saving this special section of the second movie to the end because I want to talk about just that stuff specifically. It's its own thing.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah,
Oliver Mai becoming a man, I think it's like a lot. So again, I want to use this opportunity. I was talking about this before, where There's one particular review. I might put it up on screen. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it's going. If I don't, whatever. Consider yourself lucky. If I do, well, you said it. It's a really highly rated review, and I think it's only of just the first 3 episodes, right? Just the first OVA. Not the second one or the third one. I think it's just the first one. And this person says that there's no character development in it, and that it does a poor job of fitting into the UC timeline, and also that there are no large-scale mobile suit battles, which Gundam is known for and built upon, right? And to that person, I would just say, what f***ing anime did you watch, really? Because even the very first episode, like I was telling you before, there's a giant mobile suit, takedown of all of these stupid-ass slow ships that get dunked on. The Battle of Loum you get to see, motherfucker. You're like, there's not enough mobile suits in this, man. You get to see Char use one mobile suit to take down a bunch of f***ing awesome ships. It's epic as hell, man.
Yeah, that was a battle over a side to potentially drop on Earth again too. Am I right?
Exactly.
Yeah, bro. See, I got
so
this.
That's an important f***ing battle. The Battle of Loum set the stage for all of that. That's when the Federation was like, what the f*** is that red thing? What the what? How many? Huh? How many f***ing people died? So again, that's the whole point, is how mobile suits took over warfare. That's really the overarching theme here, as well as other things. But Oliver Mai too, even he ends up making himself into something that is super into that, right? He develops himself through the second movie. So if you're only reviewing it from the standpoint of having seen the first movie, I understand why you might say that about Oliver Mai, right? But he has character development. He becomes a man. We just talked about it, right? So in the name of that, though, even in just looking at those first 3 episodes, all of those 3 unfortunate souls who stepped foot, even that random dude who was like, I can do it, I can be like the captain, and jammed the throttle on that Zuda. You remember what happened to him? He went kaboom, just like everybody else that jammed that throttle on the Zuda. So many people died over all of this shit, okay? And we got, other than that one nameless guy who just wanted to be like the captain, we got character development with the other 2 people. We had backstories, introductions, they were specialists, they were all cast-offs from like different units and teachers and things and shit like that, motherfuckers that were like tank instructors, legendary old soldiers who had a vendetta, and they were like, fine, asshole, go play with your tank in the sand. Enjoy. We made a special one for you. It sucks anyway. And Oliver Mai took one look at it and was like, holy shit, why not more of these? So there's character development even there with him and the guy with the, what is it, the mariner guy. There's character development with him, with learning about his grandfather's past and all that shit, of them having a this changes everything moment by calling him out as a lout. There is plenty of character development all over this shit. Even jam-packed, I would say. There's a lot of quick and hella fast character development that hits you in the face in this anime. And it's because they introduce these people, they make them relevant, you learn about their backstory, then you get relatable to them, and then they get unceremoniously executed in some way. So again, I ask, what anime did you watch? And again, we got 2 episodes smack dab in the middle of the Battle of Abawaku, which is the decisive battle of the 1-year war where Jaburo Ray defeat Char Aznable. And I know, defeated Char Aznable. But still, how many more mobile suits? There were so many cameos. There are so many cameos. I'm literally going to do a scene in that all suits video for MS IGLOO where I go through that last battle before it starts and pick out all of the goddamn cameos that are there. There are 3 Bigeros just sitting on the screen, like getting like refueled and resupplied just casually as we fucking scroll past them, bro. There's so many just Easter eggs in that scene, and it's something that's going to be like that Mobile Fighter video where I picked those. Remember how they had all those goofy ass robots at the end when the Gundam League united?
Oh yeah, so
yes,
cheesy.
Dude, no, I love it so much. It's amazing. More G Gundam, and you for anybody who doesn't want more G Gundam. Get on board, catch the fever, bitch. It's great.
I got that G Gundam fever.
Same. I'm always flying in the sky. I ironically love that song to death. I will fight people in the streets who say it's bad. Anyway, moving away from that because I'll get loud. It's like 5 in the morning. It's 6 almost. So, like I said, Oliver Becoming a Man is big, and it shows that this really does have character development. This does have battles. This does tie in painstakingly well, as I've demonstrated here with a lot of the history and tying it all in with all of the references. This does an insanely good job of fitting directly into the UC timeline. So, to you, I say, what did you watch? Because I don't think we watched the same anime. I like I said, we just had an encyclopedic deconstruction of this anime from somebody who knows what the is going on. Check my stats. Go ahead and look it up. I guarantee you. And if I'm wrong, call me out, and I would love to know, because then we can get better. So anyway, moving on from Oliver Becomes a Man and how that person fucked it up in the review, we're going to move on to talking about just some specific things from Gravity Front right here, right? So what I think is that Gravity Front does an amazing job of encapsulating what price a man pays to be a soldier with an impossible task. Somebody who is literally handed a bunch of anti-tank rockets and say, hey, you see that giant walking tank over there that we've never seen before? Yeah, go blow that up. Go blow that up. Have fun. Yeah. No, you go that way. Everybody else is going that way, but you're going that way. That's literally how it starts. Oof. And he's like, well, why the f*** are they going that way? Why am I going this way? He's like, you heard me, motherfucker. You're the anti-tank. You're the anti-mobile suit specialist to have fun. Go out there and do it. Literally, a man with an impossible task, a soldier who has an impossible task. He knows what he has to do. They were the last line of defense. They were thrown to the wolves. They were never counted on to survive, much less do what the f*** happened there, which I guess, you want to... But that's the overarching theme of everything, like the price that people pay. Even her at the end, the price that she paid at the end, even though she didn't die like all the men did. Yeah. But anyway,
I thought that was like her spirit, and she was dying. But in her fading moment, that he was, she was explaining to her what happened in her fading moments before her spirit leaves the earth.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I just misinterpreted it. It could be. Yeah. I just read it as like that she didn't die, but I could be wrong. And again, I'm 4 Coronas in over here. We're having a good time, so I might not remember everything.
But career MS kill 17.
Yeah, he was the baller. He was the big daddy of the kill total, I think, between all of them. Yeah. But I mean, anyway, This does just such a great job. The whole thing does a great job of encapsulating that emotional price and that price of life that these people have to pay. And here, though, since we're on the side of the good guys, if you will, there's not really a whole lot of governmental incompetence going on. They are literally a people besieged by something that quite literally overwhelms everything they have. So it's a fight for survival with them. It's a whole different feeling than how we got the technological upper hand. Let's see what we can make today. And everything is stupid and broken, like a lost cause. And okay, by the way, one really quick point. Do you think maybe they had too many projects that they had 604 different tactical evaluation units?
Oh yeah, I kind of wonder about that because they said 603.
So, but remember, the ZEGOC was originally the charge, the actual evaluation of the 604th unit before they blew up. And then the captain took it over, the 603rd captain took it over because that was the best man at his wedding. He knew that guy really well, right? So that's the whole point. So there were at least 604 units that just tested prototypes in the field. Again, is that not indicative of how much governmental waste was going on with this? It's
that never seemed high.
It's no wonder, right? Yeah, you got to pump those numbers up, son. You ain't on Xeon's level yet. What the were they doing with all that? And it's so indicative of the Nazis. But that's what I mean. Like, you just reminded me of it because it's another point I thought of while I was watching. I was like, 600 and there's another one. I was like, I thought 603 was high. I was like, wait a minute, the ZEGOC came from what again? The 600 and what and what?
They should have just split like 927 or something. Oh my
god! But dude, it's even on the Zuda's either the left shoulder or the right shoulder. 603, baby. It's great. I'm not really up with. I don't really like their emblem, but whatever, it's fine. There are many cool emblems in this, though. I might put them up on the screen right here. I might even turn those into patches and have my friends make them. Anyway, moving on. We could only hope, my friend, you and I, even together, even with all the men in this apartment complex right now, we could all only hope to be half of the man that Barbary was, okay? Only half of the man. That is like the most dude. You, I don't give a shit. If you're a robot, I'm killing you or I'm dying. And he knows what the task is, though. And that's what that whole conversation between him and the real main character, who is that guy with the mustache and the beard shit. He's got like what we've got going on, right? But he looks evil and shit. Like he's like sending everybody to their death always. You know, so like it's just crazy. But he's involved in all 3 episodes. But Barbary, dude, like he literally. And I guess this is the time where we could talk about that first scene with the Zaku 2 in Gravity Front, which is absolutely, in all caps, genius. Because as you were saying before, not only do they use that, the first time he sees them, the first time the Zaku comes up over the hill, okay, we are super zoomed in, okay, on that truck that just came over the ridge and is hauling ass, and that you can like Jurassic Park, motherfucker. The goddamn, you're feeling the booms and the vibrations as the Zaku comes up over the top, and all you see is just like the middle of the eye as it raises over the hill like that, and suddenly you realize, holy that thing is still getting bigger. Oh my god, they do such a great job of perspective and scale right there. You get it immediately, like, oh, these people are f***ed. There's no way that these assholes are going to take down 3 Zakus or 2 Zakus today. Like, it's nuts. And and that's great because that sets the stakes. That immediately lets you know, oh, shit, it's man versus mobile suit. Holy, and I guess I didn't even think about this till now, but that's the changing of the guard too. Infantry is also useless. Huh. That's the other one. Literally all of the types of military. They hit it. I'm surprised I didn't catch this, but it is. It's infantry is useless because they're like specialists, right? They're like the anti-mobile suit squad, and still one gets away and homeboy still dies, right? So, you know, either way, he's a man, but they started with that zoom in, and then we pull back, and suddenly all these dudes are like, okay, we're in position. His squad sucks. There's those dudes that climb up to the top of that f***ing tower for no goddamn. Well, we took us a long time to get up here. Someone get your stupid ass down. You dumb. What happens if he just shoots the tower? He's just gonna come over and kick it over, and you're all dead, and we lose that equipment. Get down, like a cat, motherfucker. Get off of that. Get out of there. You know what I mean? Get down. What the fuck are they doing? Like that them from the start, and then they all that Zaku. They just like Werner Holbein. Too little, too late, my friend. They all shot too late. After that one shot too early. But he was counting down, all right, and that one dude was like, we got green, and I'm like 1. Like when he was like 1, they shot, and then everybody shot on 0. Everybody else shot on 0, and it f***ed everything up because it alerted. He got alerted that there was somebody shooting at him, and he knew, and he dodged that. And the pilot of that Zaku really dodged that one last shot really well. But that's after that Zaku chases the goddamn truck down, kicks it over, and then promptly steps on a dude who crawls right the f*** out of it and literally squishes him. And it's such a crazy, like, heinous act that even the pilot himself, like, loses his mind. It's like, what have I become? What the f***? Like, I'm the man that came from Side 3. I'm not that same person anymore. Like, what the f*** is wrong with me? Why would I do this and shit? So even he is like, oh my god, what the f***? It just happened. I just stepped on a motherfucker. I just squished him like a bug. And then they start shooting rockets at him. And the fact that they shot that one off early, they ruined the element of surprise, which they desperately needed, my friend. Yeah. Desperately needed. Because they were severely outgunned and just out-teched. They had no idea. That was like the third invasion after they had been pushed back all the way to not almost the English Channel. That's the next episode. But still, you get the point from that. And then it takes them forever to actually take them down. And then after Ben Barbary takes down 2 Zakus by himself, right? 1/3 Zaku finally, it heroically takes them down by himself. Like, that second one, it shot, then this is actually, this reminds me of a continuity error I forgot to talk about. Remember the second one where it tried to shoot the missiles at him? And he got lucky and they both zinged past his head because he's too small to hit with the goddamn leg missiles at all. There's a continuity error there where he shoots those 2 leg missiles, but they're still there in the next scene. They forgot to leave them out. Yeah, it's a really small thing, but I'm telling you, I'll put it up on the screen. I remember this. Huh. So there's that thing, but he still is barely missed by it. He takes it down because it falls into that f***ing quarry like that. And then all of a sudden that third one rises up out of another quarry after he ironically says, "Don't you idiots know what quarries are? Ha 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 ha." And then one just bursts out. And he's like losing his mind like, there's a third one. I guess there was a third one, right? Like, oh, okay, there were supposed to be 3, right? Just offhandedly. Oh, shit, I forgot about that. But then that he realizes he has no other recourse. And he knows he has to fight this thing, but he has nothing else other than his 1911 pistol, right? And he literally just stands there and screams at the top of his lungs and goes bang, 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 bang until the Zaku steps on him. Yep. And then that's like the end of the episode.
Yeah, the cute, terrible theme song.
It's just, yeah, right. And
that was particularly bad.
It's bad, yeah. The music in this is not great either. That's something I guess we forgot to cut on about it. But that, I'm still saying that is so, it's so genius how they present all of that because the scale is painfully f***ing obvious as soon as the scene starts and you see how big the eye is in the Zaku 2. And if you know what a Zaku 2 is before you've seen this, you're like, oh. As soon as you see that eye and you realize it's bigger than the truck, you're like, that's definitely accurate scale. And that's something that a lot of the video games, by the way, get wrong. I love Dynasty Warriors, Gundam Reborn, but it gets the scale wrong of how much bigger the battleships are than the actual mobile suits. But I understand they have, hardware limitations. Either way, anything more you wanted to add about that? There's one more thing I got to talk about with that. One more thing I got to talk about with the 2. And
I already said it earlier and then before.
Fair enough, my friend.
Yeah.
So one last little funny thing I noticed, right? You remember Yondel's tank? Remember how it was like temperamental and it was like this? He was like talking about it like it was a woman.
Yeah.
You remember my fucking Grand Prix? It was exactly the same goddamn way. That just wouldn't work sometimes, and it would just like not start despite me.
Oh yeah. Yes, I do. I remember having a terrifying experience.
Yeah, we like ran out, like they just stopped working.
On driving down the highway, yep, and it's done.
And it just stopped, dude. It had gas. It was fine. Everything was okay, man. Like, and it just stopped, and like it wouldn't work for like 30 minutes, and then it just finally started up. It was like the Shinigami had left my vehicle, and then suddenly it worked again. Oh, hey, cool, yeah. Well, I swear to God, I had a Grand Prix that was just like that motherfucking thing. So if y'all think that's some superstitious bullshit, it's not. There are ghosts in the machine. I've experienced it. It's some real shit.
Yeah,
he was there. You were my witness.
I was about to run away.
Fair enough. I mean, we weren't that far really away from home, right? But yeah, we were afraid of the she-devil, Shinigami in there. Especially when they're hot like that. That's definitely a trap, boys. Don't fall for beauty all the time. Remember, if she's a god of death, beautiful doesn't really matter anymore. So anyway, that wraps up pretty much all the topics I wanted to cover. We're way deep in. It's going to be a good long episode too. It's going to be thorough, which is exactly what you come here for, the Weebinar. So, with all that said, do you think there are any topics that I missed, the things that I didn't mention?
90s synth, and that is a soundtrack, and they use the same exact soundtrack in the first 2 episodes too.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's off of like a 90s TV show.
That's
like
great.
It's bad.
Some Casio. You think?
Yeah. Totally.
You think it's Dark Cat throwing a Casio down the stairs, man?
No, nothing is that bad.
Fair enough.
That was worse. So, yeah, I guess we didn't really talk about music that much.
True.
I mentioned the Arabian Nights or whatever in Arizona edition.
Right. That's really funny. Yeah, right. Never mind. We're in Arizona. Yeah, like they don't play music like that there.
Yeah, music stuff. I guess I kind of noticed the music stuff a lot.
Makes sense. I mean, it's cool. I'm glad you brought this up because I didn't.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the outro song. Was pretty good for the first part, and then when they switched over to Gravity Front, it was a different song every episode, and in particular, Barbary's episode had the worst song in the whole anime.
Fair enough.
We were just talking that one was noticeably bad.
I agree with the ending song of that first. That's definitely. I love singing.
Yeah, it's true.
I love it.
There's no weird English in it.
Yeah, no English. Are you?
Arizona.
Arizona.
That really works. The guns that the Zaku's use look just like the first machine guns used in World War I, where they have the barrel on the top.
Oh,
like
the
that.
drum fed?
Yeah, with the barrels on the top. Like, that's
Right.
totally like the first machine guns like they deployed in World War One would look like those. And they were notorious for like overheating and being really
That's also a thing. If you ever notice if they fire the gun too much, the barrel heats really, really, really badly.
Yeah, there was definitely some trial and error there. They got to test it out in Africa though, so yeah.
Well, and it makes sense because the mobile suit was an emergent technology, and they were like, "How do we do this?" You know what I mean?
So I like that. I like that the guns were like that. So they're basically carrying around giant machine guns.
Oh yeah,
And
120 millimeter, baby.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Straight up, that's the big boy. Remember, do you have any 120 millimeter ammo? Oh yeah, just ask the
What
administrator.
else I right here? Just some offhand stuff. Friction in space, but
Oh, okay, yeah,
I'm
let's
not.
get into this. No, I'm ready. Let's go. This is the Kerbal expert, the person that plays the info.
Oh yeah, this is especially, and I forgive all sci-fi for doing this because it's not really that big of a deal, but it's especially noticeable in the Zudo episode because he stops and like they say, "Oh, cut your engines." I'm just like, yeah, that's gonna slow him down.
When it's you need your front engines, as you've all no doubt seen if you've watched the Kerbal stuff on our channel. We learned that the hard way, right?
Yeah, and now I'm rooting for like all sci-fi like doesn't go with this, and Star Wars like should sink in space. I think they sink in space in Gundam too.
Oh yeah.
I didn't notice that, but I'm sure they do. I mean, they literally make a direct reference to drowning in space.
Yeah, in this very anime, you're correct, sir. Those Zaku tubes, those ground type Zaku.
Yeah, it's like a race, and they're like trying to speed up faster. It's just so dumb.
Right, and it's just like infinite velocity until it blows up. But you understand, it's for like the cinematics, the cinematic lulls.
Yeah, cut your engine.
Oh yeah, just stop. That's how that works.
Yeah, so what if he just turned around, right? Like he gets his body turned around, he starts slowing down because he's in space, right? Because you need the reverse thrust, so literally all he has to do is just turn around.
Oh yeah, alter his trajectory.
Yeah, just turn 180 degrees, boom, you're going the other way now, you're slowing down.
Yeah.
But maybe you probably couldn't do that because he was going too fast.
That's also a thing I think I didn't mention before. I think that's also like an allusion to like Icarus flying too close to the sun. Yeah. Because that's why he gets hit by the sun like that. It's like really epic, and it causes him to have the epiphany, and he's also going way too fast, way too far. He's Icarus flying too close to the sun. He's a girl bossing too close to the sun, like a lot of girls are out there right now in media. It's kind of funny. But yeah, good point. I like that, and I figured you would come through with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the reason a tank Gundam, or the reason the Hildoffer is so genius is because like it's got tank treads and it goes fast, and like it seems more effective than like awkward walking legs on a terrestrial planet.
Right, for sure, right. Oh, and
which we kind of already talked about that.
Right, but no, you're right. That's a good point about the Hildoffer. It's just that tank treads are hard to protect, and anybody who knows anything about them will shoot them.
There's a scene where I can't remember what episode. I think it's one of the Gravity Front episodes. No, it is. It's the very last episode, and like something's coming up behind her, and she looks back, like that the thing that's coming behind her, like, but she's in a cockpit of like the tank Gundam. So when she looks back, like, how's she see anything? Oh, but like cinematically, like they have her like look back, and that like really stuck out to me.
I don't know. Maybe she's a new type.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Yeah, hand.
I think it was that episode.
Yeah. I think they. I don't.
Or it was
I
either
don't
the
think
guy
there's
in
a
the tank.
technological explanation. I don't think they have like sonar or like like ground penetrating radar.
Yeah, I figured they just had like some kind of radar or something like. But
yeah,
I thought
they
that
do.
was funny.
They have your radar, your what is it? Radiation and distance amplification, right, or whatever. Radio and ranging.
Yeah. Oh, and in the tank episode, like when they do like this guy miraculously survives. One of the few survivors was the driver for the crazy tank guy. This was like the one notable part about that episode with the White Ogre is that guy ends up surviving.
Yeah.
And when they do his like little epilogue, like they pick the worst possible screenshot to show this guy. Like he's making like this super dirt face, like he's taking a dump in a ditch or something. Like.
Right.
We'll try to imitate the face.
There you go. I think you're right. It's sort of like undercuts like the seriousness of it, right? It takes a little bit of the ump out of it, right?
So, like, dude, they could have picked any other like screenshot of this dude. It's so funny.
He was kind of a doofus, really. He did. Remember, he really tried to get the tank guy, like, you know, discommute, or what was it? Demoted, not promoted. Yeah, he really tried. And it's funny, too, the tank guy was like, you should try that a couple of days earlier, bro. But you know who showed up to be like, oh, a suicide mission. It'll save our ass? Don't mind if I do. Go ahead. Oh, you want 9 tanks? Here you go. There you go. You buy us more time. Because they were on the run that whole time. Until Odessa, they were on the run. Like, actually, that episode was the end of it because that was the victory. He beat the White Ogre, and then finally, they didn't have anybody who was better, and it shows it after that episode that they take all of that back. Because she talks about General Revel in the next episode, who is also a name drop from the original the trilogy, right? So they tie that even, like General Revel. This is exactly how General Revel took it back to Zeon after they came in and thought they were big and bad and they were going to take over the Earth. So it's cool to see that, too, for Gundam fans, you know. Anyway, continue.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's it. Well, I like the map they showed in the first couple episodes, like the subtle detail of the giant hole in Australia. That was a nice touch.
That's pretty great.
The Bay of Australia, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that. There's a lot of nice subtle detail, especially in the first 2 parts.
Yeah, this is well done, man. This is well done, well written, well
It's
paced.
just an example of that.
For sure. There's a lot of great detail. Even in the Gundam, we went hard on. Like I said, we are. The theme tonight is we aren't playing around. We're going hard with it, just like this anime does.
But that's all the offhand stuff I have. I wrote down Minovsky particles, but yeah.
Do you want me to explain how this works to you?
I mean, you did mention something about how you were going to talk about Minovsky particles.
Okay, so Minovsky particles, like this is something. I guess we can have like a little side chat about Minovsky particles, right? So I forget the guy's last name is literally Minovsky, but it's like it is the unobtainium or the hand wavium particle that just allows them to do like super crazy shit, right? And Minovsky particles were discovered not long before the 0079 1-year war, right? And at this point, they only know how to broadcast them using machines. And what that does, when that happened, that changed warfare forever. Same theme, coming right on back for more. Changed warfare forever, and it made long-distance cannons like the Jormungand completely obsolete because without a spotter, they can't see a goddamn thing thanks to all the Minovsky particles distorting any electrical equipment that they have, right? So it's sort of like a passive EMP effect that also reduces any kind of long-range targeting systems to basically useless, right? So that's why they need the Gundams in the first place, because the Gundams are fast, and mobile suits are fast, and they get right up on things really quick, and they're shaped like a human, so they can just say, this is a nice bridge on top of your battleship, and be ashamed if somebody ripped it right the off. You know what I mean? And that changed the goddamn game. Who gave a shit about Minovsky particles? And they could just run up on you and be like, kaboom, there goes your admiral, see ya. And just be out of there and cripple your whole army by cutting the snake's head off like that.
Oh yeah, another thing I didn't write, like, yeah, they would punch, like, the bay or the cockpit area, then the whole ship explodes. Mm-hmm. Totally victim of, like, touches and just explodes in this anime.
Okay, it's anime, and there's also, you gotta think that a lot of the time, if they hit it in the head, the generator is connected directly straight to that. There's a lot of very important components, especially if you're talking about like a Zaku 2. If you hit a Zaku 2 in the face like that, and you disable its eye and you crush its head, you're definitely going to cause a chain reaction that's going to make the nuclear generator inside of it go kaboom.
Okay, that's a little better.
It's at least explained. It's justified, the trope is. But you're right, it's totally that trope. It's in Family Guy, the horse and the race that Peter has with that Amish guy on the horse and carriage, and he crashes his car over the side like it's an action movie, and they crash the horse over like it's an action movie too. And then Peter's car explodes, and then it turns to the horse, and the horse explodes like that too. It's totally that, right? It's that trope, right?
Yeah, he totally, the Zaku, like, hits the bridge of that ship, and this thing explodes from that.
It would totally do that, and that's a nuclear explosion coming from that reactor, and there's a big old nuclear reactor in every single one of those battleships.
Oh, wow.
So it's chain reaction. A lot of people are dying from that. Remember, you might forget, we talked about this in 0083, which, by the way, you want to watch that, go check it out on the channel. We talked about why that nuke that Onivo Gato fires with the GPO-2A would actually be much more devastating, and it's because of all those ships having all those fusion reactors at the same time in like one gigantic chain explosion. So it's one fusion bomb coming right in and blowing up fusion reactor after fusion reactor, because I got the whole fleet right there on deck. It's like one of the greatest single shot kills. I don't know, Gato forever, G. How many tens of hundreds of thousands of people died because of that one fucking shot? Only the Nightmare of Solomon can say that, which is why he's like legendary forever to ever. One shot, hundreds of thousands of people, because all those other nuclear reactions happened after that one nuclear reaction, right? Same concept, right? Zaku nuclear explosion, Salamis nuclear explosion, neighboring Salamis nuclear explosion, other 3 neighboring Salamis nuclear explosions from this big giant chain reaction, and you can see how it just goes and goes and goes and goes from there, which is why the big explosions and why it goes like that. But because of literally the technology. So that's the way the Minovsky particles go. And then further on down the road in the V2 and the Unicorn Gundam stuff, we will see exactly how far Minovsky particles really can go, because it's just the tits. Like once they get V2 Gundam and they get Minovsky drives, it's a whole nother goddamn ball game. Everything changes again after that, because they can now power things with Minovsky particles instead of just broadcasting them to pollute the universe with them. Now they have things that use them and suck them in because they're oversaturated from centuries of use. So like I said, the continuity is just always like hard like that with the tech and how it evolves and stuff. So this is, like I said, if you're a Gundam nerd, this is perfect for you, pretty much on all ways. And but that's pretty much the long and the short of it with Minovsky particles. So anything else you wanted to bring up before we get into the final bits here?
Nah.
All right, well, we want to thank you all again for 500 subscribers and helping us get monetized. And we hope you would like to contribute. We're going to set up a whole bunch of other crazy shit here pretty soon and have a nice fun time setting things up. And with that said, we're going to put up new tiers and things like that. We're pretty prototypical with it to, stay with the theme. But this isn't a lost cause to take away from, to move away from the theme. So, personally, I think that this anime, it puts me in an interesting position. It's going to be the same thing as G Savior, right? I'm going to have to give it 2 ratings, but what do you think about it? What are your final thoughts here about this? MS IGLOO.
I think the story is really amazing and the narrative is really good. It's consistent, for better or for worse.
Consistently ugly.
Yeah, and it's just like, man, the animation, if they would have just waited like 4 or 5 more years to start it off, like it would have been, we might be in 3D Gundam world right now, and everything might be in 3D Gundam.
You're right, and that's something I forgot to mention. It's because they actually intended to use this as the next platform. If this took off, we would have had nothing but 3D Gundam for the rest of the time, but it didn't go anywhere.
Wow, so yeah, that's pretty crazy to think about.
Yep, big time implications, just like Oliver Mai holding down that field E, man. Just that one act.
Damn.
The failure or not the failure. You see how it all ties in, man? This is this is why I love talking about anime. It's great. If you look hard enough, you will find. But
I think the individual stories were all really good because they all had their like arcs and the consistent themes in every episode of those.
There was character development all over this.
Yeah, as much as you can get into with 30 minutes. But
they jammed it in there. Like, hey, meet this guy.
There's always like a obligatory like 2-minute like flashback.
Right.
To something that just something you need to know about that character.
My father used to tell me. One of those like my daddy talks. You gotta love it, man. Like I said, it's great. So continue anyway.
Yeah, all the commanding officers have like terrible personalities, but they all show their valor and their loyalty eventually at some point.
Yes, they
do. Like even the red-haired girl, Cadillac, like even she does.
And
she gets into Death Machine without even flinching.
Yeah, like and just immediately volunteers herself. Yeah. Von Kemper, Mr. I'm cool with child soldiers, but I hate this. Literally sacrifices himself to cover all their asses so they can get out of there.
That happens more than once.
Yes, it does. Yeah. No, he's great, man. Like, and you're right. There's a lot, and it really hammers home that there's no such thing as good guys or bad guys.
But I think what you said was right about the niche. Like it's like a niche anime, so that's something to take into consideration. And then just like the bad animation, like is this the part where I rate it?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, you can go ahead and rate it if you want to. I'm gonna rate it too.
Yeah, I guess I would probably give it like a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10? Wow, that's generous.
But I think the narrative of it is like a 10 out of 10.
Is what saves
great.
it.
And Oliver is such a great character. I love him.
He is forever going to be one of my favorite pilots after this. An unintentional pilot, nonetheless.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Ultimate, like I really, especially like this last time watching it, like I said, it really hit home. Like a lot of the narrative pieces connected together, and I could, sort of read and look at them, sort of look in the middle at the same time, and read and also watch them because I've seen it and heard it so many times. So this time it really came through, and I think you're right, man. Oliver Maya might be severely slept on. Like the narrative in this is severely fucking slept on because of just how well constructed it is. Big shout out to the writers and the director for continually holding that cohesive vision across all three of those concepts that I so thoroughly went through before.
Yeah.
And that they so thoroughly embody in this. Like I said, I think this is like you said, also a treatise, a study, a motherfucking compendium on death flags, bitch. Like you want to learn about death flags, you watch MS IGLOO. You will get all the dirty tricks, all of them, man. God damn.
Hey, yeah, we'll have dinner with the lieutenant after the fight.
Like
Yeah, we should have seen it. We thought he was gonna live too. It was right there.
Oh man, god damn it, they got us again.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's so well written. It really is. It's like, and again, from it's what you expect from the guy that Razafan in the first 25 episodes of
Yeah,
Razafan
Razafan has a really good story like that too. I think you could compare those narratives on the same level.
And you know what? It makes me insanely excited to play Omega Boost. If he wrote that too, it's got to be a great game. I mean, it's at least got to be good. So I mean, man, this thing. This is going to be really hard for me to rate. So like, as a fucking gigantic Gundam fanboy, as evidenced by all of this time we've spent here, I'm gonna have to. Oh God. I'm gonna have to give this like we're gonna call it a 24.3 as a Gundam fan. Okay, out of 30. 24.3 out of 30. This is a pretty high rating for me too, and this is just like the missing piece, right? And this reminds me, and this just hit me in the head. You remember I have those Twin Peaks books out there?
Yeah.
That's like the missing piece to a lot of bullshit that you don't actually see on TV, but they sort of hint at. And there's like the Diary of Laura Palmer, the Twin Peaks Almanac, like the Twin Peaks like Dictionary of Terms, and all written by the co-creator and co-writer Mark Frost, with David Lynch's nod and stuff like that. And it all fits together in a fun way, right? MS IGLOO is like those books, but for Gundam, okay? This is like the lost media that fills in all the pieces on how it really got there, technologically, on how those missing pieces of exactly how Char and Haman Karn and the Delaz fleet escaped at the end of a Bawaku and weren't just completely blown up, and we were left to just wonder how that happened. It explains the gun tanks being unceremoniously having their balls clipped off right in the middle of the goddamn film trilogy. It's great, man. It goes to such painstaking lengths to just be so great and aimed at people just like me who have a very niche taste, I will definitely admit. At the same time, it's ugly as all sin, my friend. It was easier watching it this time because I'm just numb to it. I'm desensitized, you know what I mean? You can only hit me so many times before the flesh hardens, you know? Like, Jesus, man. But like I said, and I know I've said this before, and I think I even say it in our sit-down watch of it, right? Is that it's like a hideously ugly woman that is like the best person in the goddamn world. Like, from my perspective, that's exactly what this movie's like. This set of OVAs, it's amazing. I enjoy it so much, as evidenced by all the shit that's come out of my mouth today. And beyond that, like, I think that's my biased take, right? Obviously, as a Gundam fan, but to take myself out of it completely, okay? Like I was saying before, putting myself in the perspective of certain other people you watch this with who have never heard of anything Gundam, haven't watched anything, right? God damn, dude. This is bad. This is really bad. As somebody who doesn't care about Gundam, to put on a different hat, this is bad, dude. Like that music too isn't really all that great.
Yeah.
It's all out of place, and you know what I mean. Like
Sometimes
there's some cool cinematography for sure. That's undeniable. Like the way that the gravity front and the scale of everything. Like I was saying before, great cinematography, great understanding of all that stuff. Structurally, as a story, well written, well paced. They jam pack about as much shit, like you said, as they can into each goddamn episode, and it's always full of fucking crazy ups and downs. And just when you think they're gonna zig again, bitch, they zag. And then when you're like, oh, they're gonna zag, nope, they zig. Oh fuck, oh shit, they zagged again. Oh god damn it, and to do that, right? I've seen a lot of things in my time in terms of movies and narratives and shit. To keep me guessing like that at this point in my life as somebody who consumes movies and media like this is a pretty impressive feat, and especially for something that's this old and looks this bad. So there's some technical expertise on display here, right? Well written, well shot, not well animated for the time, I guess.
Great battles.
And they just didn't understand how it worked back then, and this was the best that they could muster, right? So if you consider that for the time, if you're willing to give it that extension, that little fucking that little exception, cool. But I'm going to approach it from somebody who won't give it that exception, right? We're going to take it from like the worst possible. We're going to straw man it, right? Worst possible argument against this movie is that it's terrible. These OVAs, they're terrible, and that people shouldn't watch these. So that's where a lot of the negativity comes from. Other than that negativity didn't make sense that I was talking about before. But this is I think the unobjective, or rather the objective truth about this kind of stuff, and it's that it relies way too heavily on stuff that happens elsewhere. It looks like it's boring if you don't know anything at all about these characters, and that's about it. Like, okay, cool, and the music's okay sometimes, but mostly not that great. So, like I said, all of that to say, like objectively as a non-Gundam fan, I give it like a 13.2
Specific.
out of 30. Because it's not
pretty
that
good.
great. Not that great. and listen, this is what I mean about fairness. I try to really take myself out of my own mindset here and give an unobjective and an objective review here. So, like I said, this is the best review of MS IGLOO anybody's ever created. I challenge anybody to that. Nothing's going to be more thorough. And beyond that, was there anything you said all you want to say about it, right? You rated it everything. Was there anything else you want to say about it before we call it a day?
I'm not watching it again.
Fair enough. I probably won't either. To be quite honest, it's rather burned in my head. This shitty Gami lady. Anyway, so with that said, we appreciate all of you for being here. Thank you for getting us again to 500 subscribers. We have much more on the way. We're going to be doing some crazy shit in the future. Beyond that, if you liked what you saw here today, please give us a like and a subscribe if you think we earned it. If you don't think we earned it, then give us a dislike. Cool, we'll take that too. And also, if you decide you like and subscribe, and then you don't want to like and subscribe, take it back, man. Well, no judgment here. We understand. We want to earn your business. Also, if you want to support us more, go to Cash App and donate to us. Or if you want to support us the absolute most, go to the weebinar.locals.com and become a paid supporter. You get to see all sorts of crazy shit like this particular recording in its almost unedited form beyond the things that we need to keep private to protect the names of the innocent. You know what I mean? And some dragnet type. So, with that said, you'll see things like this man beating a bear to a bloody pulp with his bare hands.
And naked.
And completely butt-ass naked too, yes, on some Florida man shit. So with that, you want to see that? Come over to the locals. With that said, we have an interesting surprise planned for the 500 subscriber video, which we will definitely get into. You guys will definitely see this before that is up. And we just want to say again, thank you. Not to overstay our welcome here. Zach has already made his selection for the next subject of review here, and he's going to grab that really quick.
I can reach it from here.
You are tall, so that helps.
All right.
And it's this thing. This thing right here.
So I guess it doesn't matter.
The middle one there. So yeah, here. I'll hold it up. Right here.
Infinite Rivius. This is a rare anime from the, I think it's from the 90s. I'm pretty sure it's going to be in the 4:3 aspect ratio.
Yeah.
But this is something that you just can't, like, I used to have it, I was able to watch it through the internet or whatever, but now you can't find
those
it at
Russian
all.
hacked websites and shit.
You can't,
Our former roommate used to go on all the time.
Yeah, ever since they've cracked down on like internet censorship and all that stuff, like you can't find this anywhere. So like we were waiting, and one day it shows up with like a hard copy of it. Yeah. So I didn't think I'd ever see it again, but it's pretty obscure.
Well, you said that you wanted me to track it down like forever ago, and I figured why not?
Yeah, obscure rare anime for next time.
And,
so
it's the old school OVG. Like I'm not even kidding. This is literally the old school DVD collection.
Yeah, so that's only 3 episodes per disc back then.
Yep, the old shit. And this is something that I tracked down on eBay. It's a great copy, and I got it for cheap because that's the way we roll around here.
That's great. Like I remember looking it up a few times and not really seeing it too.
Yep, but I think it's out there now. I'm not sure exactly how much it's worth. But either way, so look out for Infinite Rivius next time. We're going to be getting into that. Hopefully in a shorter amount of time than like 4 months. Or like 10 months, I guess, which it took us to do all of G Savior and all of this. But yes, this right here. This. and with that said, we appreciate you for being here once again. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Farewell.